no question. You were when a motherfucker hot stepping. Hey, you never had a big enough weapon. Motherfucker never learned your lesson. I'm an 88 pack nigga. I'm an 88 pack nigga. I mean, day walker, drink blood, fangs out, full moon, motherfucker change like a hoe. I'm just a nigga from the hood trying to stack a little cheddar for the money.
We ain't wasting no time. Drew Titan Bronx on deck. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Let's bring him in. The Donaires. Salute. How y'all doing?
Great.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Y'all good? Ain't nobody drink too much, nothing like that?
No, we stayed home. We stayed
home. We didn't really do too much. I mean, I think for me, it's just the mentality now for me to just every day is the same to me, you know. So you know, I guess the older that I get, the more that I don't count time, that don't count the days, you know, and just kind of maintain that mindset of being young.
Man, listen, I completely understand. You know, there's still some young guys at my job. They say, hey, man, let's go out on the weekend, man. Let's go turn up. I'm like, turn up, man. I take naps. I'm tired, man. Tired all the time, man. I look for if I can sneak in 30 minutes, I'll get it. I swear I will. I swear I will, man. Yeah, this is crazy. But you know, Happy New Year to you guys. And I was just sitting here geeking out, right? I was just talking to Stormy, my brother, right? He says, yeah, man, I got you some stuff for Christmas. I said, what you get me? Look at this. Do y'all know what this is? You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this since the 70s, man. This is Muhammad Ali and Ken Norton.
Wow.
Hey, and I'm old enough that I actually had the Ali toy as a kid. So it came with a ring and this little device that you put around his waist, and it was like a trigger. You press it, and his arms would throw the punches like this.
Oh my gosh!
Wow,
that's classic and antique right there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
Man, this is my childhood right here.
Don't be selling that on eBay now, Drew.
Man, man, I'm just geeking out. I got a Sugar Ray Leonard doll here. My goodness, I love this stuff.
That's amazing.
Man, I'm just a big old nerd, man. So everyone's falling in the chat. Man, listen, I'm looking at all that gold on the wall you got there, man.
Some of them. That's some of them. We just set them all up, you know. But yeah, that's.
Oh, since he showed you that Muhammad Ali, you want to show him the thing that you got from Puerto Rico and take off your headset before you pull off the entire street. He be doing that sometimes. We were in Puerto Rico for a fight, and we walked into this cafe, and this was on sale.
Oh,
can you guys see it?
Wow!
It was a coffee shop, and it's carved into the wood. And then
this was before Ali passed away.
Yep.
Oh,
so we're gonna hang that somewhere.
Yeah,
it's carved awesome. Into the thing.
That is awesome.
Oh man,
hey, since we're trading those type of stories, late last year, we've got this home improvement store here. It's called Menards. I don't know if you guys have them there where you are or whatever, but there's like a Home Depot type of deal. And I was in there, and they have a small section with like food and stuff like that, and groceries. And I found a Wheaties box that was a commemorative edition with Ali on it.
What?
Wow.
And they only made like 30 of them or something. It was like a real small amount, and they're numbered. I found one, and I bought it right away, and it was like, wow. It's like I just happened to be walking through the aisle and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. I was like, that's a Ali cover on a Wheaties box. And I said, that's got to be something. And then as I was looking at the label, it said commemorative edition. They only made like 30 of them or something like that. Wow. And I was able to snag one.
Nice.
So
are you sure? Are you sure nobody left it? And then when you went to the register, it's like, error.
No. It was like, and what was interesting is they had the young lady from the Olympics, the gymnast, the girl who bowed out.
Mhm.
They had one for her, and then there was another one for like, different athletes that they've had. So I was glad to get the one for Ali because that was right up my alley as a collector, So
I'm surprised you didn't buy the whole stock and then eBay it, like I keep saying.
Some people do that stuff, but it's like, for me, it's like just to be able to have it as a collector's item or whatever, just like what Drew has that he showed you. It's like, that's so meaningful. You know what I mean? You come into your home. It's a great conversation piece.
Yeah.
Things like that. It's not for money. It's not, not when it comes down to me. And I'm a collector. I collect a few different things, but it was nice to run across that.
No, that's cool, man. I try to collect things, man. I don't have the patience and the understanding to collect stuff.
What would you collect?
I used to have a bunch of cards, baseball, football, basketball, in a cracker box. So I remember all of those stuff, and I used to have amazing cards, rookie cards and stuff like that of amazing athletes and stuff. I didn't take care of them, and I just didn't really. When I have them, I use them all the time. Like they say, "Oh, look at the shoes, man. You shouldn't touch that shoes." I'm like, I wore the hell out of it. I think that's just me. I think I can't collect something because if I have it, I gotta use it. I gotta have it. I gotta have it to use it. Or when I have it, I gotta use it.
Yeah, I hear that. So I'm assuming you use those gloves back there, right behind you, right?
Oh yeah, those are the fight gloves. I think those were the
That's the Bali ones.
This is the Obali ones right here. We just kind of, because we're setting up the whole room for live and podcasts and stuff like that. So we just kind of trying to put everything together.
It's actually usually a lot brighter, but I literally was on live with on a different panel last
you didn't
night.
Turn on the light.
I told you to turn on the light. How is
you know what I want to know? Where are the Vic Darchinyan gloves?
Ooh.
Oh, man, I think people took them. People took them.
See those gloves.
Yeah, man.
I think his dad has them.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to ask you about something that I thought about, but you actually had said something, I think it was post-fight or whatever, but the one fight that you had, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been the fight against Rigondeaux, but don't quote me on it, but you wore gold and black trim. And you had said something about that it was like you were honoring Bruce Lee with the
no, that was Matabula.
Yeah, that was a Matabula fight.
Okay,
Oh,
so
shit, I remember that.
Yeah, so I remember that. Now I'm a big Bruce Lee guy. I love Kung Fu,
man.
but when you said that, I was watching the fight and I was like, that is so cool because Bruce has made a resurgence with newer generations, and I know you're not the young dude like some of the other people, but it was really nice that you came out with that and you talked about that. I was like, that was real solid.
Yeah, because it was like what was that movie?
It was Game of Death.
Game of Death. Yeah, Game of Death because Matabula was 6 feet tall and he was really tall. Yeah. And I actually one of the person that walked me in the ring was Guru Dan Inosanto.
Yes, so, I remember that.
I remember the ring.
He walked in the ring with me, and I gave him my trunks after the fight.
That was great. That was great.
So yeah,
see, we watch you, man. We know in,
Wow, so man, I didn't know he walked you to the ring.
Yeah, and he's still healthy, strong. He's always learning new martial arts. He's always telling me, you got to keep learning. You got to keep growing.
He's on point. Like you would think, like we went to a seminar. It was a weekend worth of seminar, 8 hours and stuff like that. We did stick fighting. We did hand-to-hand combat. But the thing is like he is so knowledgeable and so advanced that, in a seminar, you don't know what the levels are of the people that are attending. And he'll be like, okay, so the first one's going to be block here. Second one's going to be, this is 1, 2. Then from here you go 1, 2, 3.
But he's still so
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And fast as hell. But then by 7, you're like, wait, I lost it. What was 3 again?
Yeah.
And he does it so fast. He's
How old
on
is he
point.
now?
He's like 84,
He's in his
85.
80s, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But he's still doing seminars, still on
He's
point.
still traveling a lot, you know, he's just
Mhm.
going everywhere all around the world and
Holy
just
cow.
doing his stuff, you know, teaching.
What a tremendous contributor to martial arts. And a
Yeah.
lot of people take it for granted, you know, when they talk about him. And, you know, of course, he was a great friend and colleague of Bruce Lee's. But what I've never met him, but I know people who have, because the martial arts I'm out of Chicago, by the way.
Okay.
We've had tremendous martial artists come out of Chicago, and there are people that I know that have attended seminars with him and everything. And what I've got from him is that whole experience with Lee made him a better martial artist, because it broke him down to the essentials, and
Right.
then he rebuilt from that and became a much better martial artist as a result of that. And there are not a lot of people who have the humility to be able to say something and be like, well, this is what I learned because of the mind that Bruce had. And Bruce had a level of talent and natural ability that a lot of people don't have, those gifts, like those fast twitch muscles and things
Right.
like that allowed for speed. But what he did have that he could share that almost everyone can tap into is that analytical mind. And James
Right.
Coburn once said that he had this marriage of physical ability, but also the psychology of understanding of it all, that makes the ultimate fighter, martial artist, or whatever, you know, ultimate being, when you can take things, the essentials of what you have, and combine them and go forward with that.
Well, I think being a philosopher allows his mind to open up a little bit. Like myself, I'm into philosophy. I'm into understanding of the world, the universe, and stuff like that, and just being open minded. I think for him, he was very in tune with his being, you know, and he listened to his being, and at the same time, he was always learning, growing. You know, the mentality of him was there's always room for learning. There's always, it never stops, you know, and
Never
it's
stops.
true.
Yeah.
It never stops. And that's the thing, was he was so open minded because he knows that it was about learning. It was about growing. It doesn't matter how old you are. You just gotta have to learn every single time you learn. For me, at least, I learn a lot from my kids. You know, I learn a lot from her. You know, her feminine
Absolutely.
energy. You know, and her masculine energy as well. But with my kids, the way they're living in the moment, right? So it allowed me to just, you know what, I gotta live in the moment too. I can't just be thinking about trying to conquer the world, you know, in the boxing world. You know, I gotta live this moment. I gotta train my butt off, but at the same time, I gotta keep learning throughout whatever I have around me. You know, that's the thing, is that we do have a lot of things to learn out all around us. It's just
Yeah.
we don't really pay attention because we see it all the time.
No, I understand completely what you're saying. I never stop learning. Like, one of the things that I say on my show is, and I take pride in saying, I don't know everything.
Hmm.
I don't know everything. You know, there's people in here that are literally 20 years younger than me, and I guarantee you I can learn a lot from them. You
Yeah.
know, I talk boxing. I have 3 channels, but I talk boxing here, how I see it. And I'm not saying I'm 100% right on everything. A lot of it is opinion. And if I don't know if I don't know something, I'll ask Stormy, or I'll ask the chat. Am I right on this? Am I right on this date? Um, did he get hit with a pole counter? And I'll ask, because life is about learning, man. Life is about learning. Because, you know,
Yes,
if you go
sir.
in here and thinking that you know every damn thing, it's a blow to your ego when you're proven wrong.
Yeah.
It's a serious, serious blow. And one thing you got to let go, you got to let go of your ego so you can be a sponge and absorb everything that's around you in life, man. And that is, and listen, life is so much like boxing. I've never been amateur. Of course, I've never been pro. I've sparred a bunch of times. But I've been around gyms and stuff and around fighters to have a good enough boxing mind to know things when I see it. You understand? Let me read
Right.
this super chat real quick. My brother LaRon, Broken Traditions. He says, Happy New Year, Drew, Stormy, and Onito, and Rachel. Salute. Salute to y'all, man.
Salute,
And,
LeRon.
and you know, there's so many life lessons that I've taken from boxing. Like again, I've never like I've had some rough sparring sessions, but you know, there's things that I've seen, like I've seen a poor attitude outside of the ring translate in the ring, and the guy end up getting his ass kicked badly. I've seen the toughest guy walk off the street and get beat up by a 14-year-old, and that motherfucker 30. And he just got beat up by a 14-year-old. What little you know in the boxing ring will take you miles in a physical confrontation outside of the ring. Granted, the person doesn't pull a gun or a knife.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? And I've been wanting to ask you this since it happened. So you're fighting Vic Darchinyan. They announced that fight. Already, you was like the super underdog.
yeah.
So leading up to the fight, I started to do more homework on you. And I'm watching. And Vic, I don't know Vic, never met him. But they held him to a high standard.
Yeah.
And he was kind of feeling himself.
Oh yeah. He
I
was.
saw it in the ring.
To say the least.
Yeah, he was the form was all wrong. And I'm like, you know, I said, you know, this guy Donito. I said, that left hand, I said, if that shit lands, it's gonna be a problem. And you went in there, and you know, people were saying, oh, he looks scared. And I'm like, I don't know. But I just seen discipline. You didn't play into the bullshit or nothing. And you wasn't intimidated. You was very cautious. You boxed him. And he made a mistake. And when you landed that left, he started doing somersaults all around the ring. I said, I was watching the house with my boys. I said, yo, he ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it. They was like, oh shit. What was you was the underdog by how much?
I think it was 11-1, and then they dropped it to like 8-1, and then the day of the fight, it was 7-1.
Man,
I'll give my quick assessment of that, because you know, on my channel I have a show that I do, and my channel is the same as my name, Stormy B Man. I have a show I do on Tuesday evenings. It's called the Tuesday Tussle. That's a show where I give like a coach's perspective, breakdown, and assessment of the philosophy of the sweet science and how it applies to life and vice versa.
Yes.
But when you take a fighter like Darchinyan, who had a reputation of being a puncher, and a lot of the fights that he had as he began to go down this path of having success, you know, stopping guys and things of that nature, he wasn't tooled enough to understand that a simple philosophy in boxing is this: the best time to hit a guy is when the guy is trying to hit you.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time he's really wide open, with the exception of someone knowing the proper punch to throw. Sometimes you can wait. Sometimes it happens spontaneously right off the bat or whatever. But what's interesting is this: there are guys like that, because they lose discipline, and they're always thinking about, I'm going to get the guy, but they never have that in their mind that they could get got. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you were always dangerous. You know what I'm saying? And you always had the ability to hurt the other guy. And that arrogance that Drew mentioned is what played into that tremendously. And for some people, they can learn a lesson and they can get better as a result. Like, you've suffered a couple of defeats, but you've gotten better, you know, through your experiences. You have turned stumbling blocks into stepping stones.
Right.
Others, where they've rode this wave of success or whatever, and when something happens, it could shatter their world. And then they can't even come back from it because the principles weren't grasped. They didn't take that to heart. But that's one of the things that I want to really credit you with, because the way that you box now is far better than the way you boxed in your youth. And it's amazing, because I don't know if you got a certain sense of things at a certain point later, but your progression, due to the experiences you have, you've gotten better. And like we were talking about a moment ago about the continuous growth process, It doesn't cease until you are no longer here, or you reach
And
that stage that unfortunately people get to when they begin to go the other way.
right.
The deterioration with, you get old, you can't take care of yourself no more, that kind of thing. And we're not talking about that, but it's a continuing upward trajectory as long as a person is approaching it the proper way.
Right.
So there's a lot of respect in, what you've been able to accomplish even up to this present time.
Well, we're always constantly growing, and for me, I'm growing in that way physically, and that's why you see a lot of my skills better. The only difference was, and I realized this at the last fight, is because the only reason, the difference is I was very cautious as I was younger and hungry, didn't want to
Mm,
get caught. And the older I
mm,
got, even though my body got so much better, I was very confident, but too confident, to or more like I was confident, but I put everything in the shortcut. I worked in shortcuts rather than, because I've done it all. I've been there. I've been fighting for 22 years, as a professional. And sometimes when you're doing the same thing and over, you kind of try to find a shortcut, right? And
mhm,
and we know shortcut don't work. And so that's why with me, I'm grateful for the realization, even though what happened was that, it was a defeat, but that realization allowed me to get back to my roots of being cautious, at the same time have the confidence. And I think the difference between me and then was, yes, my I feel that my body has gotten better in terms of my skills and experience, but the mindset was different. I was
mm.
playing an old man's game in a young man's body.
Ah, okay,
You know what I'm
okay,
saying?
okay.
So now, if I can align my body with my mind, a new mindset of that young, I got to be aligned. Without the alignment of mind, body, and spirit, everything falls apart in one way or another. Like when you're saying, um, it's about creating a foundation. I have a great foundation in learning, but I never took it to my mental state where, what, I have to align them so that I can be at a flow, you know. And people misunderstand that when you're good at something doesn't mean that you're good at everything, or you're
Mm,
good at, some guys have like an instance, for instance, greater example for life, a man who's a billionaire but he's unhappy with his life, you know. A man who doesn't have much but he's happy with his life, but then he doesn't have much that he's craving for or wanting to create it, there's everything is good, business, physical, and all that stuff, but then your relationship is falling apart. I mean, there's always something to that effect, right? And that was something that I realized, that I was not aligned as a man in my mind, body, and spirit. I was always, I'm a big in spirit. I'm a big believer in myself. I
mm,
believe in my capabilities. I believe in the way I learn. But the mindset was, I was playing that old man's game because I have all this knowledge in my head. But instead of taking those knowledge and create it to a level where my body and my mind can react accordingly, instead of taking the shortcut, I'm like, you know what, I've been in the game for a long time, I'm gonna just do this. That's an old man's game. You should always be fresh. You should always, at least for me, I should have been to that level. I'm like, you know what, I got this. My body's good. I feel that I can beat these guys, but I gotta be aware of it. And that was the missing piece for me, was being aware of of who I am, and being aware of my mental state, and not go see that it, like they say, if you go over too much, when you have too much of everything, is a bad thing.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
had too much too much confidence. And going back into ego, it's not so much as getting rid of the ego, it's more of controlling and directing the ego. Because without the ego,
mhm,
and I tried this, without the ego, you're just nothing. You're not driven. The ego is there to keep us on our toes. But if we direct the ego rather than the ego directing us, then your life is so much more colorful, because you're excited about it, because the ego is always excited. But without your consciousness of directing the ego, then the ego is overly zealous, overly excited, overly everything, the opposite of what the ego does, right? So um So that's ultimately when it comes down to that. You constantly grow into things, but the mind, body, and spirit has to be aligned so that there is flow. There is flow.
Well, I like the fact that you cooking, brother, for real, for real. People in the chat are like, wow. So you've grown as a fighter, right?
Mhm.
Physically, mentally, you've grown as a fighter. But this is nothing without this. I
Right.
remember when you were celebrated for insisting on a particular style of drug testing.
Yes.
I remember that. I remember Floyd Mayweather was knocked for it and you were celebrated for it. I'm all for it. I always want to ask you, what made you make that choice?
Well, I thought that I didn't really have anything to hide, and I'm a big believer in my body and our capabilities. It's just that some people like to take shortcuts and advantage of other things. But I wanted to prove to the whole world that you can be as good as anybody else on it without it. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I wanted transparency. I wanted the whole world to know that, hey, man, listen, I became a world champion, one of the best fighters, or multi-division without anything. And I did this every day. It could have been any day of the year, at any time of the day,
Anywhere.
anywhere
Yeah, they
in the
followed us to
world.
Philippines one time.
Yeah.
Remember, we're like, what the hell?
Yeah, they just showed up out of nowhere.
At our house, and
Wow.
we're like,
You know what
oh,
I'm
shoot.
saying? So it's like that, and I'm all about that, man. I'm all about that. People just need to believe in their capabilities as human beings. That's where power comes from.
I'm so glad you did that, though. I'm so glad you did that. Floyd requested it. He was called a coward, and it was a game because him and Manny hadn't fought yet, and you know how fans could be. You know how people could be.
Of course.
I wasn't too worried about that. When you came up and you did it, I said, "See, that's the universe right there. No one's going to say to Nonito what they're going to say to Floyd, and I know why. Floyd's not this likable person. I get it, but I was glad when you did it because I said, you know what, this brother's doing it for a reason because he knows what everybody else knows. Now, I'm not asking you to drop no names, but you was doing it for a reason. Yes,
I've known a lot of people who supposedly has done it, and from people that are in their corners and stuff like that, who it's everywhere, man, and it's everywhere.
Well, I think it was that, and we were coming up, going against like Montiel and stuff like that, and with legacy, you can't rewind time.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is still this conversation, before, well, still now, like, did Manny juice, right? And I felt like we were taking this step because we never wanted his legacy questioned. Like, if then was he, taking anything? It's like, no, listen, throughout this entire time, I was on VADA drug testing voluntarily. That's what VADA
Voluntary.
is. And so when you don't when you make sure that the legacy is intact, for me, that was the biggest takeaway, right? Like, make sure that it's never questioned.
Well, this leads right into something in boxing that I been honing in on over the last 3 years. I'm going to say a name. And first of all, I watched your live, the part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you guys in the chat, if you haven't watched it, please go subscribe and watch it. It's everything, things that you point out are things that I'm pointing out, but I get cursed out for it. But it's real. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you the floor. I'm going to say a name, and I just tell me what you think.
Okay.
Sean Gibbons.
Snake.
What?
Go ahead, Queen.
Snake.
Can I say a B word here?
Go ahead.
He's a bitch, a big bitch. or they just call it. Yeah, he's a bitch. I mean, I don't know if you saw that one moment when he tried to come at me, you know, and I came in there. He thought I was gonna, because I'm smaller than he is. He thought that I was gonna step back and like anybody else, and I kept pressing forward. And then all of a sudden, he started walking really fast on the other side, other way. And then at the end of the night, he had 3 bodyguards from the hotel with him.
He like 6 feet tall, man. He need bodyguards.
He felt he was threatened. His life was threatened. I'm like, bro, I just wanted to talk to you, and you acted like I was gonna be some type of way and gonna run away because you came at me. I'm like, get out of here, man.
Now, for those in the chat that don't remember, last year I was trying to connect the dots with this effing guy, Sean Gibbons. For those of you that don't remember, I'll give you the short version. Y'all remember the story about Bob Arum and Top Rank getting raided and all of their shit getting turned upside down?
Yep.
You know, Watergate type shit. Sean Gibbons was a part of that.
And he got his ass fired after that.
He got his ass fired after that. I said it in the video. Also, do y'all remember who Sean Gibbons? You know whose corner he's in? A guy named Isak Pitbull Cruz. Are y'all listening now? Are y'all listening? Rachel, I'm gonna give you the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, how much time do we have? Because this is a long story.
Go for it. You're here for that. Go for it.
Okay. Well, so, to the ones in the chat who haven't watched it, make sure you watch it, because then you'll actually see like receipts, right? It's I'm not just talking just to talk. If we rewind to Rolly Romero was supposed to fight Tank Davis December 5th. In October, that's when there was this 8 women allegation that got raped. And they went to the cops and they did an investigation. And he was pulled from the card during this investigation. And Isaac Cruz, who's handled by Sean Gibbons, was put in. And of course, we all know what happened. The case was closed. Like it never happened. Nothing happened, but we didn't get the fight that we were supposed to. And someone slipped his fighter in there, right? So I saw that. And it was really hard for Rolly, but he was good because he completely kept saying he was innocent. So we fast forward that. That was October of 2021. December 2021 was the fight for Isaac Cruz versus Tank Davis. Now, you have to rewind. I wish I had a whiteboard. You have to rewind a little bit back. August 21. Sean Gibbons and John Riel Casimiro, a Filipino boxer who was the WBO bantamweight champion at the time, had split up, okay, on August 2021. February 2021, Casimiro signs with a new manager. He signs with Jose De La Cruz and Climas. And this rape charge comes out, or alleged underage, what was it called? Acts of lasciviousness. Yeah, that. But that right when he freaking signs, like that weekend, there's pictures of his people in the Philippines walking the alleged victim. Okay. After that, they tried to strip him a bunch of times. They sent that paperwork over to the WBO. They sent it to the UK to try to get him, not able to fight. They weren't successful in banning Casimiro from entering the UK. But what happened after that is John Riel Casimiro never got the paperwork for the UK that says you can't use the sauna. They gave it to Sean Gibbons because Sean Gibbons had the replacement fighter that was his in case John Riel Casimiro can't fight. And so it ended up, they also were actually posting that 2 months before. They're like, oh no, Paul Butler is going to end up fighting Jonas Sultan and not John Riel Casimiro. They had this in the works. So John Riel lost his titles without even stepping on the scale because he used the sauna, and Jonas Sultan stepped in, who was Sean Gibbons' fighter. I just feel like it's very, very, very extremely like it smells like a fish. That rape charge, pull him from a fight, and I have the replacement fighter within such a short time period, and it's the exact same MO. The charges were gone for both of them. Like it's not like one was actually real.
I hope y'all are soaking this in. This is a dirty ass scumbag game we're talking about here. Now I get on here all the time and I talk about connecting the dots, and I know I might sound like a maniac sometimes, but family, this is the first time I'm speaking to the Donaire family. Now, why are they saying the exact same thing about Sean Gibbons that I've alleged? I'm not crazy. You know, I'm crazy sometimes, but I'm not crazy.
We all are, man. Every part of us have that craziness. Without that craziness, you know, we will be docile. You know, we won't do nothing. You know, you will.
And I don't apologize for it. I don't. I make no apologies because they need to hear this. And I said this. When did I do that damn video? I did that video. When did I do the Sean Gibbons video?
Oh, you did it, Sean Gibbons? I only saw the Rolly one.
I did a Sean. The video is called Sean Gibbons is the classic example of privilege. And I did that last year. 1 year ago.
Wow. Okay, I'll go watch it.
Yeah, I said he's critical of Rigo's performance and questions the integrity of a judge that awarded Rigo the fight on his card. However, who is Sean Gibbons to question anyone's integrity? And I went into his background. How dare he call anyone a liar or question their integrity when he got all this other shit going on?
Well, why do you think he hates me so much? Like, well, okay, so I don't even actually know why. He's the one who told John Riel that you know, like, do you even know what you're getting paid? And John Riel said, I don't sign my contracts. So we
had this thing, and I just said, you know what, you don't even know what's going on in boxing or what how much you're getting paid. I bet you don't even know how much you're getting paid for a fight. And he's like, I don't know. You know, so, you know.
So someone signing those contracts, that was one. And then, you know, the other thing, so when they fell out, he blamed me. I was like, why don't you blame Nonino? Why don't you blame? So I don't know. And he came after me. And when he came after me, I was like, okay, now we're gonna play. Now I'm gonna put my foot to your throat. And I did, you know, the investigations, and I'm gonna completely say this is 100% true because I have the receipts. The MP Promotions and Sean Gibbons is not licensed in the state of Nevada, California, or in the Philippines as a matchmaker or a promoter or manager. He's a second. That's what he's licensed as. I'm going to assume, this is the only part I'm going to assume, is because when you become a manager or promoter, you do have to run a background check. They do fingerprinting and all that stuff. So I don't know if this stuff with Top Rank has anything to do with him not being able to be licensed, but he's not. And so, you know, everyone's like, what does it matter? He's the president of
rules.
No, well, yeah. But we know boxing likes to evade rules. The rules don't apply to certain people. Okay. I mean, like, okay, so I called Ellie, I called a bunch of people. I said, hey, who is Sean Gibbons? And they're like, president of MP Promotions. I was like, how do you know that? And they're like, because he said so. I was like, that's it? And they're like, yeah. So, you know, you always hear this, president of MP Promotions, president of MP Promotions. So I went back to the Philippines and pulled the government documentation of their filing and pulled the board of directors. He's not on the board of directors. He is not the president. Who the hell is this fool?
What? Wait a minute. Slow down, Rachel. Slow down. Time out. You're killing him.
I know, that's why he hates me.
But that's how she works, you know. It's facts, it's evidence, you know, and all that stuff. And you know, she'll say if she alleged,
I'm
or
assuming.
assuming she'll say it.
But if I have paper, I have paper on this fool. He knows this. He's so stupid. Emailed all the freaking journalists and YouTubers and Twittered them and was spreading these the fake police report that has 17-year-old on the front, and then underneath it says she's 21 on the birth certificate. He was the one sending it out for people to report on.
Mm-hmm.
Are y'all listening to this?
Like, this is, but you know what he says on cam, right? He's always like, oh, I care about brother John Real Casimiro. We offered him help. Hell no. Hell no. Nope. He's the one that was spreading it to everybody. And in addition, his mouthpiece in the Philippines was stupid enough to talk too damn much on our text message. And I have exactly what Sean was sending him. The screenshots Sean told him to do to Casimiro.
Family, on my other show, before I ended, I said, it takes a woman to make a stronger man.
100%.
Exhibit A, right here, right there.
Well, again, man, when it comes down to a lot of things, she is very smart when it comes down to just everything. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at or get to where I'm at if it wasn't her leading me the way to get to that success. Before we met, man, I was really done and over with it because my dad was like, you're gonna keep fighting. I was like, nah, I don't want to fight. I don't enjoy the game. And then she had asked me that question, and it came to a point where she had led me to where I am now, is because she's got me those fights first, and then secondly, she's always guided me to just believe in myself. And I think sometimes, when a man is too distracted or just too focused on one thing, he can't see what's all around him. And that's one thing that she does, is allow me to see what's all around me so that I make the right decision.
Man, listen, this is what I'm talking about. This right here is a couple. This is what I'm talking about. This is, man, Todd French in that super chat, man, salute. He said, hit him with the cranberry. What a scumbag. This guy's a douche. And I told people that last year. This guy's the biggest bowl of dicks I've ever seen.
And it's been like that for a very, very, very long time.
My God. Oh
yeah, it's not like we're looking at someone like you. I'm dying to watch your that episode, but it's not like we're looking at like this person looked like a Catholic schoolboy in front of us. He's always shown us who he is, and yet he gets like a pass every time for acting like an ass.
Well, see, that's what I was just about to say. The sport has always been saturated with creeps like he. The only thing is that along the way, journalism has gone to the lengths of compromising principles and values and ethics. Yeah. And you have now people who won't hold people like he accountable and expose. And it's really not exposed because they are who they are, but to really speak and report on it because they want to have access to places and to spaces that maybe it may take a little bit more work to get there than to have the convenience of someone saying, yeah, let him in, give him a pass. See, I don't want to pass. I want to break the barrier. You understand? There's a difference in your motivations there. And see, with what you're doing, you're keeping the level of sanctity of ethic here, you see? And you all are not just a great couple, you're a power couple when it comes down to this sport, because there are a number of people who could learn from what you're doing and understand that there is a level of equilibrium where things life is about choices, and you can compromise your principles or you can kind of go along with the in crowd, but that's a real short journey there, very short, especially when you're at someone else's disposal and they no longer have use for you.
Yep.
They can cast you aside.
Yep.
But when you are of use And this is a saying and a quote that Bruce used to say, the usefulness of a cup is in its emptiness. Huh? If you come in with something to fill, then you're brought in, you're welcome and everything. But if you come in and you're full of it, you'll be easily cast to the side. There's no use for you, Yep. So one thing about us, we support guys like you all, you know what I mean? And we take a great deal of pride in being able to have you come on and voice, because we're that soundboard for you. We got speakers, you know what I mean, where we project it, because understand that it's a tough journey. But that's one of the better parts of what having the utilization of social media now. You can use it to greater advantages instead of what some people, again, I talked about economic compensation. Somebody do something for money, but when you're doing it for truth, when you're doing it for the value and sanctity of something that's more meaningful, there's tremendous value in that. Big time.
Thank you. No, yeah, that's why I've been wanting to start the master class, which I'm going to program out on Mondays, which the master class is going to be digging into these managerial contracts as slave contracts and the promotional agreement. And so I'm going to go, it's going to take me probably a good month or two to actually finish it. The promotional agreements are long, of course. And I tried to do it on one live and it took like 4 or 5 hours. And we're like, no one's going to sit here for this. So I want to break it down into different episodes. We'll do like 1 page a day kind of thing. And talk about like, the signing bonuses, the accountable money that they give, which means it goes against your purse. Giving a manager pretty much power of attorney to sign financial instruments for you and sign contracts on it. Yeah, I've been advising a lot of fighters, and the contracts I get, I'm like, oh hell no, you better not sign this. And and so I'm gonna bring up like actual contracts, but redact the parties involved.
That because we got a couple of fighters in the chat right now. This is game, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all go follow Beyond the Ring with Nonito and Rachel. And salute to Todd Friend. She said, shout out to you, Miss Rachel. Get him, Miss Rachel. That's right. That's right. Don Shada, salute. He said, Happy New Year, family. She cooking them. Salute. Bro, this is just a small taste of what the sport is about. Now, we're just supporters and fans out here. But there's a whole other world that we can't comprehend. I've never seen a boxing contract. I've seen a term sheet, and for those of you that follow me over the last couple of years, y'all know I ain't going through that shit again. Because I was all fucked up, like listening to this guy, I'm like, what is this? What's going on, man? To this shit that I don't know. And I'm interested to listening to it. You guys are knee deep in it. I'm interested to hear how that works. Because we got guys in here trying to break into the industry, and you can have all the talent in the world, but if your business isn't in order, you'll be gone.
Or you're just going to be trapped. That's one of the things in the promotional contract when we get there is, it says the term is 4 years, but then underneath that it says extensions like 8 paragraphs later, and the extensions are, if you become a world champion, a number 1 or a mandatory, it extends automatically for 1 year. If you win the world championship, then you add +5 fights. If you lose it, then you win it again during the +5. You have another +5. Like you literally have to get a calculator.
You just trap yourself.
Like at least 7 years or more, you could get trapped depending on where you sign the contract. So that's one of the major things I want to talk about in promotional. Excuse me, I'm gonna go make the kids be quiet. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. So let me ask this. Okay, well, salute to Shawa. She says, I hope it affects change. Most High being the wind beneath her wings. Absolutely. Now let me ask. And Rachel, when she comes back, she can give her 2 cents. But let me ask you, Nonito. I'm not sure if you heard about the contract that that Anthony Joshua signed with Eddie Hearn, but all we heard was it was a lifetime contract. Anytime I hear that, I cringe.
Well,
What?
I mean, lifetime is. Well, I mean, if you know, I mean, that's crazy, man. That's just pretty much selling yourself to, you know, your soul, your everything to the whole thing. I mean, yeah, he's getting a lot of money in this and that, but you know, I guess he's happy with it. I mean, you know, he has the power to say no, and he has the power and the notoriety as you know, as a known athlete and as a top athlete to say no. But obviously, you know, to him, it's meaningful. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, I don't like that term lifetime. That bothers me. Why would
That's
you?
yeah,
That's crazy.
that's
Why
pretty
would you do
crazy.
that?
Lifetime.
Just for life. Yeah,
You
he could be on
know.
his deathbed. Eddie
this
come in the room
is
say, "Yo, you got a fight lined up," and he got to get out of bed. Like the idea is on. He got to get out of bed, man. Salute the phenomenal Mexican in that super chat. He said, "Didn't Art Hoskins say something similar like that?" Yes, he did. Yeah, absolutely. What are you gonna say, Stormy?
No, I was just going to offer up, and isn't it interesting that using AJ as a model for what we're presently speaking on, AJ had an opportunity a few years ago at life-changing generational wealth type opportunity had he just faced Deontay Wilder when they both were champions, and it could have been for undisputed. He allowed Matchroom and Hearn to talk him out of doing that, which was in his best interest, because he was going to be offered a $50 million guarantee straight to him. They talked him out of that. And when he signed this so-called lifetime deal, he immediately lost his next two fights.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, because of what they pay him out of Matchroom and the way they conduct their business, he's got to fight now. He can't walk away from the game. He can't retire, even though some people might think, well, if he doesn't want to fight anymore. No, that's not how it works. Even if they have to find a cab driver from Dubai for him to fight, he's going to get his butt in there and fight, because they invested a certain amount in him and everything, and they were looking, and they didn't get a return. It's just like the music industry in a way.
Yeah.
But he sowed the seeds for what he's reaping at this time. There was an
100%.
opportunity for him to come to America and get some better tutelage. He spoke begrudgingly about American trainers. Lennox Lewis, prior to that, had offered him information saying, hey, you may want to look at doing something a little bit different simply to enrich your career. He called Lennox Lewis the last undisputed heavyweight champion and present Hall of Famer. He called him a clown.
That's right.
Wow. Well, look at the circus that he's a part of right now. Who's the clown?
Yeah. Huh? And you know, that's unfortunate because like this new generation of fighters, it's all about the money, you know, and they sell themselves on the money, you know, they sell their souls for the money, you know. Like myself, man, I fought everybody. So if it was your intention to be the best and to be the legendary fighter to get to that next level, you know, you should be fighting the best out there. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately he chose the latter of being controlled. I guess.
Do you guys know the story of Milli Vanilli?
You remember that? Milli Vanilli, the R&B group?
Yeah.
But do you know the story of what happened with them?
No. What happened with them?
Drew, would you like to enlighten? And then I'll help out with that because I don't want to seem like the only one talking. But
I'll give an accelerated version.
Okay.
They were on top of the world.
Yeah.
Girl, you know it's true. That song was everywhere. It was on country stations. That shit was everywhere. That fucking song was everywhere. I couldn't turn on the radio without listening to it. Those two brothers had dreads and tight pants and they were doing some dance. And I said, okay. Well, it comes out that not only did they not write the song, but it was performed by some other dude. And they were lip syncing all over the place. Oh. And they went from on top of the world to becoming the biggest joke of the world. Ooh. The biggest joke. One time they were lip syncing on the stage and the tape kept fucking up.
Yeah.
And one of them ran off the stage. It was ridiculous. And it didn't end too well.
One of them deleted himself.
One of them, they said he died. I don't know if he died or committed suicide, but he died. The other one is still alive, but they went from hero to zero fast. I mean, they were winning awards, Soul Train awards, everything. And just like that, they became a laughing stock. And that was rough. And this dude couldn't take it. And he one of them died and the other one is still around. But you see that in boxing.
But the reason that I mention that and how it parlays into what we're currently talking about, Anthony Joshua is currently scouring the U.S. for a trainer again. He had hired Robert Garcia, former world champion and championship caliber coach and trainer. But this is the thing. AJ, for an example here, because I'm just trying to crystallize, this lets you know how, the presentation of how I speak about boxing. He won the Olympics in the UK. It was kind of a hometown thing, but he was not that good. He was never that good. However, because of the success that they were able to garner from the Olympics, he was put in a position to be something that they created this image. They created this falsehood of a fighter, which is very dangerous in the sport of boxing because the boxing is the one place, and you have to know this, that in that square arena, that's the ultimate truth teller right there. And you can fix fights, you can make setups and things of that nature, but there will come a time when you really have to show your wares. And for him, unfortunately, it happened a couple of years ago in his first fight in America, where he took on Andy Ruiz Jr., who was a late replacement for Big Baby Miller. Now, it shows you how they approach the sport. When I say they, I'm talking about the people who have brought his career along and everything like that, because they hadn't done their homework on Ruiz. They hadn't done their homework on the American fighters, because remember how AJ spoke about, I talked about that a moment ago, how he spoke about the American fighters and things like that, how he resented and rejected and disrespected Lennox Lewis for suggesting that he might want to open up his portfolio by coming over here, getting some new toolage and everything. That doesn't mean replace anyone, but just to expand your horizons. He resented all of that. And he lost. And he lost in one of the worst ways possible. He gave up. Now, once you do that on the world stage, that's a very difficult thing to come back from, because it's a peek inside of the character of the individual, because everything had been set and laid for him, and he wasn't able to persevere the first time that he was challenged. Now, fast forward to the rematch against Alexander Usyk, who has had nothing but success in his career climbing. all the way up to this point. And when most people look at boxing, they say, well, the big guy should beat the little guy's butt or whatever. But it's not the size of the fighter. It's the size of the fight in the fighter.
No, we were on a podcast when you picked Usyk.
Yeah. No, I was actually they.
It was with Omar.
Yeah, that was with Omar.
Yeah. And then they thought he was crazy. They're like, what? How? You know.
Here's what's crazy. We've been talking about AJ going in that direction for about 3 or 4 years now. And I'm going to sum it up in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Pay attention.
I'd say, I don't know. Anyone that wants to change their life, I don't know. Do what you want, innit? It's your choice. You live your life how you think is best, and you'll like deal with the consequences of your decisions.
Okay, I'll take 50 million up front. If that's the case, Wilder's team, bring me 50 million up front and we'll take the fight.
Get over with your man Eddie and Barry Hearn and tell them to check their email. I got something special for you. And by the way, all the money's in the bag. So I expect you will be a man of your word.
Yeah. Why ain't selling my soul for 50 mil? Okay. That's where I'm coming from.
What?
I'll take 50 million up front.
What?
I'll take 50 million up front.
What?
Why is it my soul for 50 mil?
Shut the fuck up!
But if you do manage to do well, always try and give back, because just don't take. Also give back where you can. I don't know what I'd tell someone. I'd probably tell them don't get into boxing.
What?
I'd probably tell them don't get into boxing.
What?
I'll probably tell him don't get into boxing.
And the WBA Super, I think. What's he doing here?
I don't care about strong, I have that skill.
Keep it professional. What? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Yeah, that's the way to keep it professional.
I think he misinterpreted what you said. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's not right.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd probably tell them don't get into boxing.
Oh, yeah, you don't throw combinations like Rocky Marciano.
I'd probably tell him don't get into boxing. I wonder why the fuck he would say that. And salute to whatchamacallit, that super sticker. I wonder why he would say that. He's throwing belts out the damn ring. He's having a childish meltdown. He's threatening 70-year-old referees. This was the guy? This was the Lennox Lewis replacement? That guy? Get the fuck out of here. We tried to explain to these people, I don't trust this kid. He asked for 50 million. Deontay said, check your email. All of a sudden, I'm not selling my soul for 50 million. And speaking of liars, Eddie Hearn. Pay attention.
Question. We already know the question I'm going to ask. Everybody wants to know, Deontay Wilder offered $50 million.
It's very kind of you.
Are you guys going to take it? If not, why not?
Well, because we haven't had an offer yet. All we've had is a piece of paper from a guy from Alabama. So let's see a contract, let's see the proof of funds, let's see what we have to do and what our obligations are to earn that kind of money. If it's real, we have to look at it, and it's something that's of interest. But you know, if they expect us to make a decision and accept a fight today based on a piece of paper from, as I said, a guy from Alabama, then they're widely mistaken.
First things first, I want to thank you and appreciate the invite that you had me to such a event.
No problem. Thank you for coming, sir.
I appreciate it. Now, Eddie, the last time we spoke and we did an interview, I asked you about the Deontay Wilder and the negotiations, and you said in two different separate occasions you said that you need to see proof of funds. But I saw a video you did with IFL TV, and you said you never asked to see proof of funds. Could you clear up the confusion with that?
No, I haven't seen proof of funds. I haven't asked to see proof of funds. I've just asked some very simple questions, which they've answered, to be fair to them. Let's see proof of funds. Let's see proof of funds. Let's see proof of funds.
Let's see proof of funds.
Let's see proof of funds.
Crack.
I caught him. I caught him. I caught him, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I caught him. Get the fuck out of my face.
Hello, world.
I can't stand boxing. I can't stand it. So Nonito, when you said you was pretty much done with it, I kind of get it, because we speak to a lot of fighters and they're like, you know what? I know physically I got another 10 years in me, but fuck this shit. This is crazy. And Eddie Hearn is a straight up liar. The first guy that you see, that's Blue Blood Sports TV. He was talking to the same guy 2 weeks apart. I need to see proof of funds. 2 weeks later, I never asked to see proof of funds. Look, man, I know we black, we all look alike, but goddamn, you don't know you're talking to the same guy from 2 weeks ago.
Man,
it's on video. I said I can't believe this shit, and no one said anything. 50 million, a lifetime contract. Anthony Joshua signed with that guy. I love this sport. I love it. Love it. Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum. All kinds of weirdos, Lou DiBella, motherfuckers are sending girls to fighters and saying that they got graped. All kinds of weird shit going on in here. That's
why I feel like, when Tank, when he said that, I don't even want to fight no more. Remember, like during this whole thing, like, I get it. Like, I mean, shoot, you're 2 weeks out for a fight. You're sleeping in a jail cell. That's not a Tempur-Pedic mattress. You don't get to train, and you have all this other shit that you have to deal with. And then and I guarantee he's also thinking, like, who the hell set me up? Like, who did this to me? Right. And so you start to question the people that you signed with, and who has the most to gain from him not performing.
Well, there's always a lot of games played, especially if you move on to a different promotion, or if this and this and that, or if you're making too much money, and they can't cope up with how much they spend. They'll do something to get you to drop you down, and that's just how the boxing world works.
What is the worst? How could I say this? The worst form of cheating that you've seen with your own two eyes that went under the radar, and you're like, I can't believe he just got away with that. The worst thing that you've seen.
I don't know. You guys give me an example first, and then something will probably click in my head.
I would say Russell Mora when he refs Abner Mares versus Joseph Agbeko.
Oh, low blows.
That at home, those low see, those like 500 low blows.
Yeah, the low blows.
Can Agbeko even can he procreate now? That was fucked up. I couldn't believe that. And he got suspended for it.
Man.
And I'm like, this guy, he should never come back.
Well, do you remember the Filipino one with Pacquiao? Remember? He just came out with it.
Yeah, it's like I need coffee. But yeah, thank you for reminding us, because I wanted to do a content on it, but we hadn't set this whole thing up yet, so you would have seen me like in a closet pretty much doing a live. But yeah, like how that guy in the chats, if you guys don't know, there's a Filipino referee that was supposed to go home to the US, and they asked him to stay to ref the Manny Pacquiao fight, and because it was so important for the country. And so he agreed to stay, and he's retelling all this because he was getting awarded something from the BC.
Or something, but
Yeah, and he was very, very extremely proud that he'd extended the 8 count, and then on top of that was very proud that he got the medical
to
stop the fight on a cut.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't rule it as a headbutt, so it would count as a knockout or TKO. Like, it fully admitted it and was laughing about it like it's okay. And I honestly think that he needs to be investigated. I think it was, just him being like just so cringy and arrogant about what he got away with and proud of it. Like, it's disgusting. And I would, that fighter whose career went a different way.
Yeah. Because imagine if you had
Nadal Hussein, we had him on the show. We spoke to him.
Did you?
We spoke to him, and he want to slap the shit out of Manny right now. He's that mad. 22 years.
Yeah,
that's been on his mind, and the truth comes out 22 years later.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because giving the momentum, he would have made something more for himself.
Yeah, who knows if he gets the nod in that fight? Who knows? We may have been talking about Nadal Hussein versus Floyd.
Yeah,
maybe, we don't know.
Yeah,
this is a strange ass. This, I got hypertension, and part of it is because of boxing. And I haven't boxed a minute in my life, like in the pros. I'm like, what the fuck? I see when we talk to retired pros, they're like, man, do you fight anymore? No. Do you train? No, fuck this. I'm like, damn. They're good working a 9 to 5. They're happy because they got, and these are guys we've had on here that's seen a few $1 million. And they're working regular jobs right now, and they're happy. I talk to Freddie Pendleton often, and he's like, "Man, fuck this. This is stupid." And my brother Steve Elder Max said Russell Mora is retired as a ref, but he's now a judge for the WBA.
The WBO. He's the head supervisor for the referees.
Oh my God! How does this happen?
Oh, you saw him at the BO?
Yeah, I was there at the BO, and they awarded him. He had because I talked to him. He had said that he retired as a referee, but now they are giving him the position as the supervisor for the WBO, the referee supervisor.
So wouldn't he be able to assign the refs that go into the fights then?
Maybe. I don't know how that works, but yeah, supervising the referees pretty much.
No.
I don't know what that is, but he has the power now. He has the power to.
No. No. This isn't right. I couldn't have talked to him, no Nito, because how I did. I'd have punched him in the nuts.
How does this feel?
How does it feel? Son of a bitch. Because he did something. I ain't want to talk about it, man. That'll be a whole nother hour, man. That guy's a dick. That guy's a scheming.
Was the same one that almost got Montiel killed, right?
Yeah, that's the same dude that got Montiel killed. Now, I tell him about that stuff, but he said he never seen Montiel do that. So, because he jumped over it and whatnot, so.
He did. Yeah, he asked him, like, why did you let the fight go on? Like, he was on the floor, like, punching air. And he said he didn't see that. I don't know what he was watching.
Yeah. This guy must be stopped. And salute to Scrapbook Boxing, big bro. Salute, man. I gotta say it. I gotta give it the Wilder Fury 3 in Vegas. Round 4, Deontay drops Tyson Fury. These go into one corner. Russell pulls him by the arm, basically flings him to another corner. Picks up the count late. Looks at D and points him to the corner he was walking to in the first fucking place. and we got a goddamn 12 count. We're screaming in the stands like, what the fuck was that? No one saw that but us?
Oh, man.
Come the fuck on, man. He knocked him out in the 4th round. The fight was over.
Wow.
I hate this game, man. I hate it.
I can see your high blood pressure.
The thing is, just like the world, right? There's higher power, not just the government, but the higher power of people that are connected to the control of all of it. I mean, yes, granted, it is just a saying, but the boxing world works in that similar aspect of control, because it's all about the money. It's all about who is, like, say, for Canelo or for Canelo will never lose in Vegas or something like that because he brings a lot of money in Vegas, right? So, or anywhere else, they're most likely will give it to the other guy because of the fact, unless it's so crazy that just there's no way of him winning, right? So anybody it's a money game. It's a money game. That's just pretty much what the boxing world is all about.
They were trying to take it from Bivol. Remember the score?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, before you go there, Rachel, check this out. Rachel and Nonito, to finish up about the Fury and Wilder fight, that 3rd fight, they inserted Mora at the 11th hour.
That's what I forgot to say.
And they didn't inform the camps. They didn't inform the camps. They changed them. It was supposed to be the guy who refereed the fight before that, Ortega. It was because he did the co-main.
The co-main event.
And he was supposed to be the ref of the main event. And at the 11th hour, they changed and put Mora in there. Why do you think that they would do something like that?
I mean, it's either you're betting on his incompetence.
Well, it's definitely the person that they can control the most to their intention of how the fight they want the result to be. You got the players that are on the highest level are usually the ones that are easily manipulated or easily succumb to
I'll share with you my thoughts on it because you're not far off. But when we think about what referee Padilla revealed, he actually said out of his mouth in that interview, he said that they are taught how to cheat.
That's right.
He said that. Mm-hmm. Now, when you go back and you look at Mora being inserted in this fight in the 11th hour, he wasn't put in there for the benefit of Deontay Wilder. He was put in there in the event that Fury suffers something not unlike what he did the first fight, going to the canvas, making sure or ensuring, or if there was an opportunity to deduct points or something for fouling or whatever, which Deontay was never known as that type of fighter. So you don't even have to worry about that. He's not a rabbit puncher. He's not a guy that's going to be hitting you below the belt or on the waist and hip and stuff like that. He hits people upside the head and knocks them spark out. Okay? So Fury tasted the canvas a couple of times in that fight. Wilder tasted the canvas a couple of times in that fight. But one of the differences were that he never broke the count when Wilder went to the canvas. But when Fury went to the canvas, he was checking the area code that Deontay was in and everything. As Drew alluded to, Deontay, who has done this to people in 50 fights, he's done it to him 49 times. So he knows. Let me get to the neutral corner. Well, he's headed to the neutral corner. Mora stops the count, stops him. Hey, go over there. Yep. And then he sends Deontay over there and then resumes the count from where he stopped, not where the timekeeper outside is
where they're still going. Yeah.
So he missed about 4 seconds.
You know what's crazy?
He redirected Deontay to the original neutral corner that he was going to. And Fury was actually sitting on the canvas. You could watch the fight yourself. He was sitting on the canvas contemplating life. He wasn't certain if he wanted to get back up again. And so he had so much time, he did rise back up. But the count was finished.
Yeah.
Mora never picked it up.
So, you know what's crazy too though is when you have the guy outside counting for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if the guys go 6 and then you go back to 4. I'm like, why are you counting different from the guy who's counting 10 already?
And you know who saw that? Because I saw it live, but when I got home during the broadcast, Andre Ward said it, and Lennox Lewis said it, and it sounded like someone stopped him from talking. Andre Ward says that was an extremely slow count on both knockdowns from Morva. And Lennox said, yeah, he's supposed to be taking the count from the guy over there. And it sounded like someone stopped him from talking. I said, son of a bitch. Tay Jones is in the chat right now. He said, I'm the reason Deontay even knew about it in the first place. Remember I told you, I called Tay. I said, you know, they switched the refs. Yeah. He said, I'll call you back. He had to call. They didn't know. This is some bullshit. Oh, well, you know, I ain't gonna. It gets deeper than that. But you know,
my whole point of mentioning that was because of what Padilla said. You see, when things happen and you kind of like wonder, hey, that's kind of iffy or whatever. But the truth always comes up. It comes out of, you can't suppress it. What Padilla said is that they have been made aware of how to give favor, to cheat.
Right.
And that's what we're discussing here, because the original question Drew asked you was like, what's the worst scenario of cheating that you can say? But I have to call it to the attention is that there are so many ways to manipulate things that the casual observer has no clue half the time.
Oh, yeah.
But for those who are involved in the sport, such as you two, you understand it from a different point of view. Now, you were going to speak on Canelo and Bivol's scorecards. I'm sure that's where you guys were going to go.
Yep.
Now, what's interesting is that Bivol is not a guy that was world renowned. And even going into that fight, some of us were wondering, is Bivol on the take? You know, because we've seen some questionable things from Canelo's opponents in the past. We didn't know if he was going to come and try to win, or if he was just going to survive, or if he's coming to lay down. We just didn't know. But, you know, hindsight being 2020, he came to compete all the way through. But the scorecards do not suggest that at all, especially when you look at the first half of the fight, the way that certain judges were scoring the fight. They had basically filled the rounds out for Canelo, even though he wasn't winning the rounds.
Yep. No, I was shocked when they read. I mean, I wasn't shocked that Bivol won, but I was shocked at how close they had those scorecards.
I was not shocked. I even told everybody when we were watching this fight, I said, watch that fight.
Oh, that they were going to try to steal it?
Watch. They're going to try to steal this fight and try to give it to Canelo. And if Bivol had lost that last round or two, Canelo would have won, or it would have been a draw.
And what he did that was so great was he performed in that 12th round like he wanted it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They could not give Canelo the 12th round because Bivol really went out there and secured the victory by winning that round. He won that round. It wasn't given to him. He actually took that round. And that made the difference in the fight tremendously. And Drew and I talk about this all the time when we do our collabs and our individual videos. We talk about securing the rounds. You know, where you make a decision. Well, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna do something to make them notice that I want this, as opposed to just I can't wait till the bell. You know what I'm saying? Because when you say I can't wait till the bell, you're giving them that opportunity to not consider you. And that doesn't mean if you're the A side or the B side. It just means that you have to do your part in this.
But sometimes they've already put a scenario of how the fight is going, and they're going to try to go with their scorecard that they've already put in place, unless that they really, really have to change it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And salute the phenomenal Mexican. He says all three judges scored the fight for Nello over Bivol. I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. Bivol knew he had to smash the gas on that guy. He really knew that, because when you fighting Canelo, and salute to my brother Trick Nolte, when you fighting Canelo, as soon as you sign on the dotted line, you're down 4 rounds. you got to change the judges' minds.
Well, and then I mean, it did help though that Canelo wasn't trying to push anything, right? Like we were timing it, I think, in the first 6 rounds.
Yeah, in the first
6 rounds,
in the first
something
6
like
rounds or
that.
something
First
like
6
that, yeah.
rounds, he'd be on the gas pedal from
A
0 to
minute.
40 seconds.
Yeah.
Or possibly a minute, and then it went down
then
to 30,
yeah.
and then to 20 seconds. Like he'd come out firing, and that's all he had in his gas tank. And then Bivol was able to move around and pick his shots from the outside because he knew that he wasn't gonna rush in and try to throw, power shots. It was just 2 punches he threw in that entire fight. 1-2. 1-2.
He couldn't hurt Bivol. Bivol behaved like the bigger man with a just as good a skill set, if not not just as good, a better skill set.
Yeah, and he figured him out too. I mean, he would block him and he would put an exchange right afterwards because he knows
he controlled the distance and the range of where he could get his shots off, and Canelo couldn't be. He wasn't there for counters. He wasn't there for the receipts, and that's the other key here that Canelo has been masking for a few years now. He's got bad tires, bro.
Yeah,
he does. He's got bad wheels, and he's fought a lot of guys that won't necessarily present that problem to him. He's fought a lot of guys that'll kind of be there for him and things like that. But Bivol, who is youthful enough, athletic enough to get in and outside the side and not be there and play that game. It's one of the reasons why Canelo has opted not to fight a few of the other contemporaries of his era and his divisions, because those men definitely have the ability to do those things as well. But he didn't know. It was a terrible misjudgment of Dimitri Bivol to go in there and not look at him as that type of fighter.
Well, I think what I really liked with Bivol in that fight, and it really showed with Zerdal, is the fact that he understands how to give a false sense of range. And so he appears like he's there, and then Canelo tried to come rushing in, but all he had to do is pull his front leg back just a little bit, and he's not there for that anymore because, again, 1-2. 1-2. Like, he knew that that's all he was going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll throw an overhand.
He has exactly what I consider fighters like Lomachenko, Josh Warrington to a certain degree, even Triple G, some of those Eastern European bloc fighters, they have in the pros brought a pro-am style.
Yeah.
You understand? And if you were not, let's just say it like that, if you didn't have an extensive amateur career where you face different styles and things like that, they're going to trouble you, which is why they all have avoided certain American fighters, because the American fighters who have Olympic pedigree as well as a full amateur pedigree, they're the ones that they're avoiding. Look it up.
Let me ask this question. And salute the phenomenal Mexican back in that super chat. He says 3 sides of the ring and the judges' scorecards look the same. Corruption at its finest. Something else I want to touch on. There's a couple of things. First, let's play this. Salute to Canelo.
What will you do tomorrow?
Play golf, I think.
Emotional damage.
Get right, man. Fucker. Canelo get on my nerves sometimes, man. I swear to God.
Hey, when you have them silk pajamas on, man, it's a different story.
Hard. I know he lose more money out of his pocket sitting on someone's couch than I make at my job in a year. But so salute to him. But whatever, he get on my nerves. But he said something that he stands on, and I'm like, how is he getting away with this? He said he's no longer interested in fighting any other Mexican fighters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that bothered me on a level where I was throwing punches in the air, because I'm like, yo, I can't imagine a black fighter saying that. All right, now we're not getting Errol versus Bud right now because of business. And
Yeah.
you know, whatever. I ain't gonna get too deep into that because people are mad, you know, but
Still mad.
It's so bad.
We're gonna be
They're
mad
mad.
until 2027.
2030. Everybody's still gonna
You'll
be
be
mad still.
holding that shit.
Everyone's mad at that.
Yeah.
So but can you imagine if Bud or Errol said, you know what, I'm not fighting him because he's black. He's black American. I ain't fighting no more black fighters. You wouldn't hear the end of it. Why is Canelo allowed to say that shit and nobody on ESPN is saying anything? On Fox, no one, they just do nothing to see here. Why is that?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, the Mexican has always fought Mexican all
I mean, he's fought Mexicans. He's fought Mexicans.
All his life when he started, you know, he started in Mexico. You know, he fought a bunch of Mexicans. When he fought, when he got up there, he still fought some Mexicans, and you know, I have no words for that. So.
I mean, do you think that he just doesn't want to fight? What's his name?
I think you know, it's yeah. I mean,
Benavidez?
it should have been done. It should have been done a long time ago.
Well, Benavidez is American.
Yeah, he's Chicano, man.
No,
He's
but he said he
Chicano.
wasn't going to fight Benavidez, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so he kind of still puts him in that. I guess that's the loophole in his little statement, right?
Yeah.
he said Canelo Irish.
I'm honestly waiting. Okay, who was it that comes out Puerto Rican now too?
Huh?
Was it?
Shakur.
Yeah.
Shakur.
So
Yeah.
I legit was like, okay, I'm just waiting for Canelo's dad to be Irish because that guy. He looks like every other person I see in Ireland when we were in Ireland. Like,
right.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Shakur said that. I said, nigga, you from Jersey. What are you talking about? God damn, man.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is this. When the Mexican fighters get to the contender level of boxing, there's very little separation between them. You know what I mean? It's like it becomes a thing of like even when they face one another, it who wants it most, and like a lot like when Barrera and Morales faced each other. One can get the other on a given night.
Yeah.
He wants to not share the limelight at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's denying his own countrymen for the opportunity. Because I can bet you dollar to a donut that there are about 3 Mexican fighters that can whoop him right now, but they don't have the name or prestige. And remember, I said he's got 2 bad wheels, meaning bad knees.
Oh, yeah.
And he can't get out of the way. He needs someone that he could either hunt down or someone who's going to be right there in front of him. So he doesn't want an athletic, mobile, agile guy. He doesn't want a guy who has exceptional footwork. Okay? So he wants the people who don't have very much ring IQ as well. That parlays into almost everyone he's fought with the exception of Dimitri Bivol over the past few years.
Yeah.
It's very consistent, which is why he went on a little mini UK European tour with the likes of, you know, Billy Joe Saunders and what's the
He about to fight John Ryder, right?
Yeah, he's thinking about Ryder now on his next come up. So all of that falls into that of what I'm talking about. But there are Mexican fighters out there, and salute to the Mexican fighters, because one thing that these men have done, men and women from the country, that they've brought it, just like men and women from you guys' country. They've brought it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not so much of like us against them. It's about the competitive nature. You want to see quality against quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For him to make the money that he makes, let's not rule that out. He's denying his own countrymen a payday. How about that? What a selfish bastard, huh? You come out there like that, and you, well, I represent Mexico. Well, who represents Mexico before you? And who's going to represent Mexico after you? There are going to be plenty of people who can come along and entertain the crowd, as well as entertain their own legacies. There's a funny thing happening in the sport of boxing right now. And again, these sports journalists do not do their jobs, because if they did do their jobs, something, and I'm going to use a very bad word here, that is missing from society right now. If they did do their jobs, shame would come upon them. Right. And because of society now, with everything is participation trophies and pat everyone on the ass and welcome them to being a part of everything, shame has been done away with. But you have to understand, shame exists for a purpose. The Bible talks about, when Noah was naked and drunken, it was shame upon him. When his children had to come and cover him, you understand, it exists for a reason. It's supposed to be a fine line between you standing out in truth and justice and you having something to cower about because it was not necessarily a good thing or a beneficial thing.
Well, I think, to piggyback about what you were saying about the journalists, one of the things that we're going to do on the channels, I've talked to him about it, is that a lot of these journalists won't report things because they're afraid they're going to get their media credential pulled.
Boom. There it is. There it is. And that's why your platform is so important, because you know why? You don't work for anybody. Nope. You see, that's why I get hate mail and I get death threats. You know why? I don't work for any fucking body. And guess what? We've been offered money. A lot of us been offered money. There's YouTubers right now that were one way 1 minute, and then the next day they talking bad about the fighter they were praising. They're like, what the fuck happened? Right. They took money. Yeah. I was offered some money, and I'm like, this ain't real. I deleted the email, and I was talking to 78. He says, no, it was real. I mean, thousands of dollars just to stop talking about one guy and talk up another guy. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
We call those trans tubers. But they were one way at first, and then they switched, and now they became trans tubers. And they're out there giving you what they call it, alternative facts.
Alternative facts. And like, for instance, this is something that I didn't know. Leading up to the Inouye fight, and I got my shit with Inouye, and it's not so much, I don't know the guy, never heard him talk anything, but it's the pedestal that the media's put him up on. And we're saying, look, man, the fight that they keep talking about that puts him on the map, you had this motherfucker ranked. You have either Bud at number 1 or Errol at number 1, and then you have either Bud or Errol at number 3, and sandwiched right in between there is Inouye. And we're like, who the fuck is this guy? And then they say, oh, well, he has a win over Nonito Donaire. It's like, yo, look, hold on. What else has he done?
That's what me and her was talking about. I mean, no disrespect.
Bro, you mopped the floor with him.
But no disrespect to Inouye. I think he's a great fighter, but he really hasn't done, aside from the name that he has that's very out there, is my name. That's it. Mm-hmm. You know, right. Yeah. Because I was just talking about that about a couple months ago, you know, about all this stuff, you know. I mean, he's a great fighter. Don't, you know, not taking from that, you know. But I think what he has done is not enough to be put in a place like these guys have, who's won so many fighters with higher calibers.
Is it ESPN? Is he number 1 for ESPN?
He's like number 2. He was number 1 for a second.
They had him at number 1. Actually,
they had him at number 1.
ESPN is very pro Top Rank.
Yeah,
well, and Inouye's under Top Rank.
Motherfuck all of them. Because
even with Top Rank, even being pro Top Rank, they still don't put the proper guys in the rankings like they and explain, after all this time of them having Lomachenko so highly ranked, now he's about to fight Devin, and they've dropped Lomachenko all the way down, if not out of the rankings altogether, because in case Devin whoops his butt, they can kind of try to save face, because they've always had him somewhere between 5 and 4.
A top 10. A top 10 list, right? They had trouble putting Devin on it. There was no Charlo on it. One is undefeated, and the other one's undisputed. He's not on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shakur, he was low on it, and Lomachenko was ahead of Shakur. It's like, what the fuck is going on with this list? And then Inouye is number 2 and then number 1? How? How?
And Lomachenko has 2 losses unavenged on his record. 2 guys beat him, and he didn't even want to run them back against either guy. How do you do that and become pound for pound?
You done talked it out. Here I go again.
Unified, undefeated. Unified, undefeated.
What?
Undefeated.
What?
Undefeated.
What?
Undefeated.
What?
Undefeated.
What?
Undefeated.
What the hell is even that?
These fans will listen to ESPN and try and talk to a guy like me, a guy like Stormin, like people in the chat. Y'all don't know shit about boxing. That brother walked up there.
What?
Undefeated, and I know that was after the Salido fight. I watched that fight. He couldn't do nothing with him. And he undefeated. Now, another thing I wanted to talk to you about. Something happened
the
with
whole list. It's like number 7.
Number 7. No, number 704. What happened with there was something with Inouye's gloves in the first fight?
No, his gloves.
So what happened in the fight, we brought in 2 pairs, and then for some reason both gloves were damaged. And so I couldn't wear them at all. I couldn't, those are the gloves I've worn.
Puncher's gloves.
It's a puncher's
Elite.
glove. They're elite. So I have always used them for so many years. I've never, ever, ever had a problem with any one of them. And then that was the first time that somehow something happened to the gloves, and both pairs too got jacked up.
It looks like someone took a knife and stabbed the inside, so the stuffing was coming out.
Yeah, and so I had to use his winning gloves, his second pair of gloves. So his second pair of gloves were, I don't know, it just was thicker, Well,
you can't close your hand in winning.
I couldn't close my hands in those gloves in the first place, but it was his second pair.
I hate this sport.
Reject
This sport hates us. So, Rachel, you're saying it looked like someone got a hold of his gloves and just stabbed them up on the inside and say, look, these are fucked up. You got to use the gloves that he gives you now. You can't make a fist. You're slapping in the damn fight, right?
Yeah, there's of course they were sealed, so we didn't see them after when we got them. They were sealed. We handed it over. Yeah. And on both hands were messed up. It's not even like, okay, that one's let's just switch out the lefts or something, right?
Yeah, both hands were equally damaged. Both of them were damaged. Both pairs were damaged. Mm-hmm. So we had to use his second glove.
His reject pair is his second glove.
His reject pair, yeah.
Because he got to do his first pick of his gloves. We got his reject.
And then on the second fight too, they tried to come in with a gloves that was not sealed. Like gloves. Wait. What?
I did tell you that when it came in, and you told me to be quiet.
I know, because I just wanted to fight. That's all.
See, this is the problems we have when it comes to me managing him. Like, I'll go to bat. And he'll be like, oh, just like,
let's
oh,
let it go. Let's
this.
just fight. I just want to fight.
And so we stood. I dismissed you. I told you go upstairs. Yeah, he went upstairs. And they were, we're going back and forth through the translator, and they're like, they said they gave these gloves to commission. I was like, I understand that, but they're freaking open. And they're like, but it's a new pair. I was like, how do I fucking know that? How do I know you didn't take out stuffing and now it's a 6-ounce glove? How do I know you didn't already beat it into the bag so it's softer? And, they talk in Japanese and they come back. They're like, we can't get another pair in time for the fight. I go, not my goddamn problem. You should never open the stupid gloves. But they were literally for 30 minutes arguing with me over this. And I actually captured it on live. And I heard they're really pissed off at me for doing that. But
a lot of people mad at you.
Yeah.
Let them be pissed. You're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Okay. Your interest is your husband and fighter. That's what you're supposed to. And if you're ever managing, training, or promoting another fighter, be the same. Be as vigilant, because working and operating at your best interest is premium.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
This is the number 2 pound for pound in the world, or number 1, depending on who you talk to, and he's fucking off gloves.
Well, I don't know if it's him technically, but it's probably his people around him. I mean, that's just my guess of things. But again, that's just my assume. Well, yeah,
He always looks at me funny.
Well, you're a tough person. They don't like that in Japan. They don't like women who talks, you know. So, and you're the type of person that goes out there in their faces and point fingers at their face and tell them, "No, you better change this right here, right now. We're done and gone."
When I said it wasn't my problem, and they were like, "We can't get a pair in time," and like all this stuff, dude, tell me why 5 minutes later a new pair showed up, completely sealed.
Of course.
I'm like, oh, okay, so where'd this one come from? And they were like, they just kept looking at me across the room. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get killed one day.
Listen, we had a flea market area here in Jewtown. They call it Jewtown, and I ain't gonna even explain that, but that's what they called it. Flea market area. It was there since before I was born. It was a little boy growing up. You go there to buy goods, products, whatever, and when you negotiate the price of what something is being sold for, right? It's like, oh, these pair of gym shoes. Okay, the guy says, give me $30 for them. And you say, hey, man, I only got 20, you know. And the guy's like, well, give me 28. And you say, no, all I got is 20. Basically, you're trying to Jew him down. That's the term that they use. That's not my term, but that's the term because they call this Jewtown, right? It's like where you just negotiate that price and get it down to where you feel comfortable paying for something. Well, when you were talking about those gloves and they were trying to say, well, we don't have another pair, we can't get none in, they got plenty.
Yeah.
It's a promotion. So they got that stuff ready. But if you're not smart enough to hold out for what you do, then you can be subjected to whatever comes with that. The other thing, since we're talking about something like that I would like for you guys to keep in mind going forward. I do not like fights in the U.S. where they're not putting the health and well-being of the fighter on the table as far as consideration. I've seen market improvement in the UK. When a fighter loses a fight, whether he's been knocked out, it got stopped in the corner, the referee has to wave it off and stop it or whatever, they immediately have come to the ring with oxygen, sit the guy down, put oxygen on him. They have ringside physicians and doctors in attendance to take care. Now, that's what I've seen outside the U.S. I'm not seeing that in the U.S., and I need to see that because I am concerned about the fighters and their well-being. And I think that they are very slow to act. I've seen fighters get knocked out and they're making the guy walk back to the dressing room. He should be carted out.
Yeah.
Whether he's unconscious or not or whatever, it's for the benefit of the fighter. And there is room for ambulatory services and everything, but nobody is pressing for this.
Well, it's actually there. It's actually there. It's just that they don't do their job.
Nobody's. My shows, you can watch a lot of my post-fight shows. I do almost every Saturday after the fights and everything. I'm constantly talking about this. I'm one of the pioneers in talking about it because there's not enough guys talking about this. And Drew will tell you, I'm always an advocate of that for the health and well-being of the fighters. I've seen it so many times. And some fighters have gone into critical circumstances as a result of this negligence. But one of the things you do see is a bunch of goofballs standing around a guy. They have nothing to do with being physicians or anything, but they have these credentials. They're in the ring. They got rubber gloves on, but they're standing around a guy that's in distress. And they're not even assisting. They're just there. I'm like, get the hell out of the way and let some physicians come in there and take care of this fighter. Get some oxygen on the guy, Get a cart in there for a stretcher so you could lay him on there and carry him on out of there. I mean, I'm seeing this far too much. And I'm saying it to you guys because you guys have really made an impact in the sport.
Yes.
Especially Miss Rachel there. And all due respect, keep doing what you're doing, sister, because I love it. I love it. Your voice is being heard, and people will pick up and take, they will carry behind you. Don't
Y'all
wait.
gonna change the sport, man. Y'all
Don't
keep
waver.
this up. Y'all gonna change the sport. I'm telling you, when they start making changes, they're gonna say, well, how did this start? They're gonna go back to y'all guys, man. Y'all gonna change the sport. Y'all keep this up, man. That's why I'm glad y'all are here.
Super trying to do that. Because I think this is
tough.
we're here because of a reason.
Yeah.
Like with Logan, my youngest, I died with him on the operating table. I mean, he didn't die, he's alive, but I died trying to give birth to him
Numerous times. I mean, it was
numerous
crazy,
times.
man. She just started bleeding all over the place, and after taking the epidural, she started bleeding all over the place, and just they
did
didn't
a
even put
C-section,
yeah
and
they
I
didn't even they because she was sitting in the C-section operating room, but then when they gave her the epidural, it just started
I
bleeding
hemorrhaged, so then
all
they
over
cut
the
without
place.
any anesthesia.
And
It was really fun.
And so the doctor was trying to explain to me how, put the gloves on and wash the hand, and then all of a sudden everybody just started screaming all over in the back, and she started, I gotta go, and she rushed in there, and then they put the gloves on me. The assistant did, after the fact that they already put her in there. The doctor was getting ready, and I go in there. There's no curtains, nothing. She was just laying in there. You can see her and all of that stuff. And they cut her open. They cover her so she won't see if she's being cut open. Her body's going left and right, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs because all the epidural is gone. There's no epidural in there because she bled all the way through.
No, they just gave
And
it
they just gave it to her, so she couldn't really feel it. Usually, it'll take time in your system and all that stuff, but she was bleeding all of it off in the first place. They were opening her up, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs. They're cutting me open. And she's just screaming, right? And the doctor would look at me, and they just don't tell her, don't tell her. And I'm like, hey, what are you talking about, babe? They're just setting you up in the table. No, they're cutting me open. And they just kept going because the longer they take, the baby was gonna die, right? And so she would faint here and there every time the doctor would say, we're losing her. And then how in the movies the eyes dilate and stuff like that. That's exactly how she would, every time I look at her, like she was gone, right? And I would smack her. Come on, stay with me, baby, stay with me, And then
the only time you
and
smack
yeah,
me.
no, the only time I smack you. But every time the doctor would say we're losing her, or we're losing too much blood, and blood was everywhere because they would press on it and they would just toss it in on the floor. The gauze and stuff like that. It was bleeding. She was bleeding all over the place, and they were trying to contain it. And every time they put the blood back, she'd gain her consciousness back. But the pain and all that stuff made her faint a little bit here and there. But every time that they would say we were losing her or she's losing too much blood, that's where her eyes would dilate and stuff like that. So yeah.
I wasn't trying to go into the entire story, but then you just kept going. So
I know. I just, I you know what I'm saying? That's how tough this woman is. This is how she is. I mean, man, I got cut here in one of the fights. I think it was a Vasquez fight. I got 11 stitches, but it was too small to put any needle in it because all of it was
open. It was open.
It was open,
exposed.
But that hurt like crazy. They opened me. It was big, and they stitched me up and stuff like that. But I thought it hurt so bad. But for her to be opened up that way, I can't even imagine, man.
Bro, let me tell you. It's, Boss Red says Rachel the Warrior. Let me tell you something.
Oh
man.
yeah.
I'm glad you shared that story. I don't recall hearing this. I'm glad you shared that story because you know what? I'm putting things together. And Rachel says she's created a lot of enemies and rubbed people the wrong way. But you know something? You're here for a reason. And now what you're doing is you're seeing with this business, you're seeing this business for what it is, and you're being proactive instead of reactive. A lot of people just like the fighters that I told you we spoken to, they just throw their hands up and say, fuck this shit. I ain't doing it anymore. But you're in the game. Nonito, you're not retired. And you're also being proactive by saying, you know what? I could change that and we can avoid that. And we could blow the whistle on that. And there's things that I can do to fix this. Like this shit with the gloves. A lot of people heard it, but they don't know exactly what happened. But we're very familiar with glove cheats over here. Oh, yeah, we are. Antonio Margarito, Tyson Fury, Marcos Maidana. He tried to get Floyd. And I'm going to tell you how funny life is. He tried to get Floyd. Floyd said, ain't no fucking pattern in these gloves. And Robert Garcia was like, they came like that, meaning they came out the pack like that. So I said, when he hit Adrian Broner, who has a really good chin, I've never seen Adrian, he punched him and he went to the fucking Twilight Zone. Never seen that. And Chino, he hits hard, but he wasn't that hard of a hitter. And
he's a heavy-handed, but he's not a knockout artist.
Not a knockout artist. And I looked at that and I said, wait a minute, what the fuck? Could he have gotten 8? Now there's no way to prove it because those gloves are gone. So he got another pair of fucked off gloves, but Floyd was smart enough to investigate that. You understand? Fury, same shit. I ain't gonna get in all of that. I could do a whole 3-hour stream about Tyson Fury. And then Margarito. I thought I was watching a regular classic boxer versus a puncher. And I applauded the first fight. Then he goes in there with Shane Mosley, and Brother Nas, God rest the dead, catches him cheating in the locker room with the hand wraps.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh,
Drew, sorry, before I forget, if you can, I want to get someone else's eyes on this. People keep telling me, I just haven't had time to look back at this, the buildup for Nonito versus Inoue 1, 2, and with Paul Butler. They were saying something about the way that
they wrapped their hands.
That way that Inoue was wrapping his hands. That would never have been legal here. But I wasn't the one that went over to the other locker room. Yeah. But they said it was specific.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it was Inoue.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that what that was they were actually putting tape over an area where it's not supposed to go.
Yeah, stacking. That's what I heard.
They were stacking. And the thing about that too is, and let me just put it out there. I'm going to say it. People can get mad all they want to, but I don't give a damn. But Felix Trinidad used to do that as well.
Yeah, he did.
And a lot of times what can happen is when guys get, and I'm sure Nonito may know this already, but if you can get your hands wrapped up before they can get in there and say too much or whatever, some guys have been known to even stick their hands in some cold ice, cold bucket of water or something like that. And it's like in a little bit of time, it forms just like a cast on your hand. And if they can get you gloved up and everything, by the time you get out there for your ring walk, because typically you're warming up. Well, you're a main eventer, but when you're an undercard guy, and even a main eventer sometimes, if you start warming up at a certain period of time with your hand wraps and everything, and you've done these foul things, by the time you get to the ring, after about 2 or 3 rounds is when that gels like a cast. And it becomes a thing where it's like, oh, because there was a fighter who, I can't remember the name of the fighter right now, but they were saying that they noticed that the guy's punches were getting seemingly heavier as the fight went on. Yeah. That's typically when somebody is, because you lose steam off of punches as the round goes on, but it shouldn't get harder. And I'll tell you another sign is when someone is starting to get a lot of facial damage from a fighter. It's like being hit with a guy with brass knuckles, okay? Because punches, they're going to either knock you out or club you upside the head and have you dizzy. But these guys that are marking people up and, cuts and everything like that, you have to keep your eyes on that. Because skimming the gloves, when you pull that knuckle where it comes to the forefront of the glove, when you're skimming the gloves, that causes cuts and everything on fighters. There's a number of things that, especially these guys that are coming from certain parts of the world where they've been able to get away with certain things, they're doing this a lot.
And I'm glad you said that.
Inoue was also getting away with.
I'm glad you said that because Layman Brewster, who's been on my show,
yes,
pro fighter. He's blind in one eye now. And he said that happened when he fought Sergey Lahovich. And he said Sergey Lahovich is not a power puncher like that, but he cut his eye up so bad he lost vision. Today, he's blind in one eye. Today. And it was that fight. Sergey Lahovich. And I said, wow, he cut his eye up. Cotto versus Margarito won. Prior to that fight, I never seen Margarito's face get busted up like that. I've never seen it. And he had a couple of wars before fighting Margarito. And I said, what the hell's going on? I didn't think about it until Margarito got caught against Shane Mosley. Yeah. And I said, oh, shit.
I mean, I remember that fight. Cotto was busted up, man.
Yeah, it was bad. I felt so horrible because they go to the after fight. The HBO was going backstage, and Cotto's wife was crying. Like, yo, I want you to retire. Don't do this no more. And he said, this is all I know how to do. And I said, God damn, that hurt me. I said, shit. Well, he came back, and then when Cotto got caught against, when Margarito got caught against Mosley, I said, this motherfucker cheated, man. Mm-hmm. He could have killed, you could kill someone in that. And then they zoomed in on the hand wraps at the end of the first Cotto fight, and like he had gravel in his goddamn hand wraps. I said, how did I miss this? How did I miss this? This is crazy. And salute to Syriad. He said, we appreciate you, family. Much love. Gladiators fights back. Salute, man. Exactly, bro. But this is the sport, and I'm so glad that you guys, y'all are not on anyone's payroll. Y'all are using social media for what it's for. And you're using your platform to speak your truth. Because there's a lot of fighters that just don't want to deal with it, and there's a lot of fighters that are in the industry that don't want to ruffle any feathers, you know. And at the same time, I need you to be careful. You know what I'm saying? I need you guys to be careful because, listen, man, there's a lot of fugazi individuals in boxing, and y'all know that. You know, it's you know, I have a guy on here from the UK. His name is Art Hostage, and not only boxing, but he's blowing a whistle on a lot of guys across the pond that are involved in shit. And during my live stream, the police came to his door and handed him a cease and desist letter because he's releasing information that the dots are connecting. People are going to jail or going to court and everything. And they're saying, yo, it's because of this guy on YouTube. And he went to his house and sent them a cease and desist letter on my live this past Friday.
That's crazy.
Wow.
It's now, I don't know what the fuck they got going on in the UK. I ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm just a dude from the Bronx who loves boxing, and the sport don't love me back. You understand? But you guys have a voice, a bigger voice than mine. And people will listen to Rachel and Nonito Donaire before they listen to Drew Titan from broke up New York City. You know, that's why they'll call me crazy. But when you guys say the same shit that I've been saying, like this shit with Sean Gibbons, I said it last year.
The more voice, brother, the more voice there is, the powerful we become. You know, the more vibration, right. The more vibration goes out there to be heard by people. You know, that's and I think that it comes from you, comes from me, comes from everybody. The more that we get everybody to really see this, the more that people, you know, won't get away with it. I mean, for a long time, you know, from I mean, I don't want to get political or anything like that, but you know, the police and all that stuff. You know, I have a lot of friends that are police, but there are bad apples and there are great people. You know, I have a lot of friends that are my friends, you know, that are still my brothers till this day. That, you know, but there are people that try to get away from it. And the more that the more that they see it now because of social media, the more that it's being clean, you know, and you know, and that's just, I mean, from a world of like in the Philippines and how it's so corrupt in a way and how things are. I mean, you know, it was like that for a long time out here. It's just that now it's been done in a down low kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is there's always going to be stuff like that going around. It's just, it needs people like us, people who go out there and allow people to voice it. You know, the more powerful that we become, but because of our tribe or because of the connection and oneness, that we can be so much more louder and people can see it, you know, and that's power. power is when we can all unite for a cause.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying because, like, when we go to Belfast, when we go to the UK, we went to Glasgow. When we go to the Philippines, like if there's something politically I don't agree with, and I know I'm going to that country, I'm probably not going to say anything because of the fact that I'm going to have to watch my back. I mean, even in Glasgow, my dad bet on Betfred for him against Burnett. And it was a 7-1 odd or 6-1.
7-1.
And so me and my dad bet. And when we won, they wouldn't pay us out. And we were there for another, there for another week, I think.
Yeah.
My
we were
dad
trying to get
ended
the
up
money. I
going
mean, we bet
home.
pretty good amount. We were winning like about 60 or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a fun little bet.
So it was a pretty good bet. And
did you get your money?
We did, but only
we went through
because
the social media.
But the day we left, we didn't. My dad was like, "Don't shoot," because our security left. We decided to stay because the boys wanted to go to castles and all this fun stuff. So we stayed in Glasgow for another week.
Yeah.
And this entire time, I'm calling Betfred every single day. Nothing. And then and even Betfred told me, they were like, "Oh, they're like, you can't bet on him." I was like, "I bet for him, not against him." And they're like, "Yeah, but you could get your boxing license taken away." I was like, "You're retarded. No, I can't." I was like, stop trying to make up this shit, And so anyway, the last day, I think we were leaving, I think like 11 p.m. We were leaving at like 6 a.m. or something like that.
And we told them, I'm like, you better give us the money. But just when we leave, just watch, Yeah.
And so we Twittered it because the money that my dad had bet was his birthday money. And he wasn't getting anything back. He wasn't even getting his original bet back. And so we Twittered it at Betfred, and then everyone in
from
the UK picked
all
it
the
up.
champions and all that stuff. Hey, give him the money back, blah blah blah.
Or give him the money that he's owed. Yeah. And then so eventually they contacted my dad and they PayPal'd him the money.
So he got paid, but it took a little bit, I'm grateful for that. But
we're very careful.
But that's what I'm saying is the power of unity is it becomes a big voice. It's not just my voice, not just your voice, but when we put it together, it becomes power. And I think that's pretty much what happened. But yeah, you definitely got to be careful when it comes down to it.
I used to want to travel, but now not so much.
Well, you gotta enjoy your life, man. There's gonna be a lot of things in our life that allows us, or that like with my kids and stuff like that. I mean, we just for her, she's very vocal when it comes down to it, and like you said, she's here for a reason, and that's just it. It's just we want to set things straight where a lot of people are not being taken advantage of.
Man, man, you guys, you want to talk about a breath of fresh air, man? This is dope. Salute to my brother Gerard from Harlem. He said, "Love tonight's panel. Happy New Year to all of you Filipino Flash fam. Peace and love. Keep up the great work. Keep pushing forward. Great career." No doubt, man. We got a lot of Oh yeah, Curtis. Yeah, Zab, my boy Zab he had to go in a medically induced coma because the Hebrew Hammer want to fucking cheat. Hit all over the side of his fucking head and shit. Man, this fucking sport, man. You guys are doing the Lord's work. I promise you that.
I mean, it's that's the least I can do for the sport that has given me everything I have. I'm grateful for the sport that I have, and it needs to be cleaned up. And this is why I signed up for the 365, 24-hour drug testing. Is because I want to give back to the sport that has given me all this, all the things that I have in my life.
The fact that you agreed to do that tells me everything I need to know. When people tell me that, when people say, "Oh well, Fury ain't cheating, Deontay, and y'all just bomb squad, y'all are making excuses," I tell them, time out. Is there cheating in boxing? They gotta say yes. And then I ask them, how many times Tyson Fury got caught cheating? Some of these dumb motherfuckers don't even know. I said, do you know he was kicked out of the sport temporarily because he popped dirty? Do you know that he popped dirty And the excuse he gave was that he ate some boar dick, some bullshit. And him and his cousin Huggy Fury, they say, yo, look, you can't fight here until we resolve this. He said, fine, I'm gonna fight in America. And he said, you know, Jose, can you see? This is my new home now. And I'm not gonna get too deep into the rest of the shit.
Referee caught him when he came into the ring with his thumb detached gloves. He had cut the attachment where your thumbs are attached.
Yeah,
he had cut them and open so he can openly thumb a guy.
And Derek Chisora.
The referee was like, who signed off on this?
Who signed off on this?
And everybody was like, not me, not me. But somebody let him get to the ring like that.
Yep.
And I have faith in the fight. That was before they did the ring introductions. He shows up in the ring wearing thumb attached gloves where he had cut the thing that detaches.
I mean, look,
he has a history.
That makes you want to that I got a lot of faith in the commissions after that. Do you? Don't you? The commissions allowed him to get to the ring like that. Derek Chisora said, yo, he cheated me. He said it. He said it.
That's the thing, man. You know, you go, and I realized this too, you know, in my fights and in places, you can't trust anybody when it comes down to commission, to all this other stuff. And you know, they're gonna go with their guys. You know, especially if you're in the country, especially, you know, they're gonna go with the guys.
Shoot, in Inoue Part 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know,
Inoue Part 1, he was wearing, you know, those, you know how sometimes he wears those like Under Armour long pants underneath his shorts.
Yeah, the little Under Armour,
like the tights underneath. So he had those, like, you know, he's already gloved up. We're 5 minutes to walk out. All of a sudden, Japanese commission and some, I don't know who that guy, the WVSS overseer guy, who's German, storms into our locker room, and I tried to stop him from from coming in, but yeah, that wasn't going to happen. And was demanding Nonito take off the tights.
Yeah.
Like, and we're supposed to leave in 5 minutes. He goes, no, those are illegal, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, isn't that your Japanese commission right there?
And he's been here for like 2 damn hours. You know, he didn't say anything.
They didn't say anything. And then now you're telling me after he's gloved up,
just
after he's warmed up.
When I was just about to walk into the ring.
Yeah, that was.
And now you guys are giving me a problem.
Yeah.
You know,
to disrupt you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna take this off and I'm gonna go home. How about that? You know? And that right there, they just said, okay, you know, we'll have a conversation with the Japanese commission, blah blah blah, and they let me through. But they try to, you know, do all this stuff before the fight.
Oh, God. All the more reason why I don't want Inoue anyway on my fucking pound for pound list. I put together one. I never read it, but he's not on it. He's not on it. He's really not. He's not on it. He's not even top 15. A lot of that is because I'm mad at the situation, but you're not helping me like him by telling the truth about what you went through. I didn't know any of this shit.
Again, for me, man, that's is why I'm so grateful for her, is because she's always looked out for me. I've always been the kind of guy who act and who treats everybody with respect. And to me, I've always felt like I deserve that respect, but I shouldn't trust people to give me that respect, you know. But because I'm so like, whatever, I'm just here to fight. That's why she's here to look after me, and you know, and pretty much had done so much for me in terms of my career.
How did was it Chris Eubanks that got in trouble for PED?
No, it was the other guy.
Oh, it's Conor Ben.
Yeah, Conor Ben.
You heard how he got that in the system, right?
Oh, which story? I heard a bunch of stuff. What did you hear?
I heard his girl was on these hormone,
and he went to go eat her pussy. That's it. And I told him, like, okay, so we're gonna try this test, right?
We're gonna test this theory. I'm gonna take that.
Before we get started, oh, frog money, he did ride.
Yeah, I got my leg stopping, baby.
You didn't hear that one? I think maybe we're the ones who made it up.
Hey, we did. You made it up.
I
You
remember.
made it
See,
up.
we go down.
Come on,
we go down
man.
dark holes, like legit.
You made it up.
I think you were driving, and I was saying something about it, and I go, "Hey," and then we could do an OnlyFans and run the entire experiment. But you have to legit, like, you know, we have to do.
Man.
He's like, "Shut the fuck up."
Well, I tell you something. That was some powerful stuff because he was deadlifting. How much, Drew? Drew, how much he was deadlifting?
Well, he was deadlifting like 500 pounds.
Hey, that's some strong pussy right there, man.
Nothing.
Hey, he had gotten so strong. You know that character Wolverine in the Marvel comics, right? And Connor is a short little guy. He's only 5'7", 5'8", or whatever. I said they should start calling him Ben-Verine since he had all the roids in his body and everything. I'm like, this dude is like, yeah, Marvel should just hire him to be the new Wolverine because he's Ben-Verine with all them roids. And have you seen like the photos of him like presently and what he looked like over like 12 months ago? Body totally changed, man. Totally changed.
That's the thing with the cycle, right? Is that he, you know, allegedly was on roids, and then to take, he took that other hormone to kick in his natural testosterone.
Right. Yeah. It's like weight strippers and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like, but see, that's the whole thing. When you play a dangerous game doing all of that stuff. Mm. And Drew Titan came into some information about these drug abusers and everything. Keep aware of this, Nonito, if you haven't heard about it. There's a thing that they do where they announce a retirement after a fight or whatever now because the drug testing stops.
Oh, I know about that. I know about that. I know about that.
But not only that though, these fake soft tissue injuries that if you got a fight date coming up and maybe about 2 weeks before the fight, they'll pull out, oh, he hurt his elbow or something, you know, and then let's reschedule the fight. Cycling off. It's something that they're doing in the UK a whole lot. A lot of UK fighters are doing this. And lastly, let me share something with you guys if you haven't heard this. Now, everyone saw and heard about the big fight in women's boxing with Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall, right? Mm-hmm. Well, check this out. They fought for the undisputed title at middleweight in the women's division. Clarissa had all of the belts except for one. That's Savannah's WBC belt or whatever. Now, check this out. Clarissa did a live stream earlier this week, and she talked about Marshall is now want to activate a rematch clause and this and that and the third or whatever. But this is what she had to say. She said a lot of people aren't aware of this. When they weigh in at the 160-pound weight limit or whatever, Clarissa weighed in at like 159, okay? On fight night, she said she was 168. Savannah Marshall on fight night, Clarissa has revealed just this week, a few days ago, that Savannah Marshall on fight night entered the ring at 195 pounds.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to know why Savannah Marshall is knocking those women fighters into Zooland, huh? There you go. That's 30 pounds heavier than the weight limit. Where is that okay? But the saving grace was Clarissa was prepared and still whooped her ass. But that's criminal for someone to come in with that type of advantage. And you know she didn't naturally rehydrate up to that by eating.
Nope. It's impossible.
There you go.
It's a contradiction to all that science with in boxing. Making weight is a science, man. I've seen it. I've seen guys get on the scale look like complete crackheads just to make weight, and then they rehydrate. Like James Toney. Well, that's a bad example because he popped. But I've seen guys gain like 15 pounds in like a day just by rehydrating. Weird stuff. Salute to Picasso. He said
But Drew, we're talking 30 pounds, and these are women.
Yeah.
30 pounds.
Didn't I tell you that bitch look like Brock Lesnar?
195 pounds that woman entered the ring on fight night. 195 pounds.
There's no way. There's no way. No way. Picasso said, how much did he eat?
He ate a lot. He ate a lot that he popped.
Whole cow.
Yeah, he ate a lot. A lot of in between.
Is that the barrage?
Holy cow.
Was there drug testing for that fight?
No, he was just talking.
No,
earlier.
for Clarissa. I'm just wondering.
Clarissa, I think there was, but I didn't trust it. I didn't want her to go anywhere near. Man, that night was so stressful for us. There were 3 things going on that night. Clarissa versus Brock Lesnar. We had Devin. Devin was in Australia defending against George Cambozo. And then we were at Deontay versus Robert Helenius. We were stressed.
Yeah.
No, I remember that day. It was from like 10 in the morning until God. I was like, dude, I'm exhausted.
All day affair.
My nerves were so bad. My nerves were so bad. Salute Willie Lowe in the building. Salute. My nerves was bad, but we had a clean sweep, man. Did you know Deontay Wilder is a did you know he's a fortune teller?
What?
He can see the future.
Are you being sarcastic?
I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna show you something. I'm not kidding. It was kind of scary. It was kind of scary, but he did something. And salute to Picasso. He said, "I can say it now, but lean forward and 2 pounds come up." Picasso, stop. I'm gonna show you something. Deontay Wilder, he can see the future. I say it jokingly, but not quite. All right, this was from the Barclays. This was Friday. That Friday.
Yo, D, where he gonna fall at?
I think he's gonna fall from this logo.
Right here? Right there, right there. He gonna fall right here. He gonna fall right here. Bruh. Bruh, he gonna fall right here. He gonna fall right here.
He gonna fall right there.
Yo, you. Yo. I said, where you gonna fall at? He's gonna put him down right here. He's gonna put him down right here. Yeah. He said he gonna put him right there. Man, I run to this ring like, remember the Ultimate Warrior? You run there and start shaking the rope and shit. No way.
That's crazy.
There it is. Fortune teller.
Wow. Damn.
I'm in the stands like, I was like, is that the fucking spot? And I look, and I'm looking at I say, yo, that's what, that was crazy. That was crazy. I don't know how he did that, but he did it.
Nito predicted the Montiel knockout round 2. He told everyone, and it was like a 20-1 odds.
Yeah, and a lot of people made a lot of money.
Oh shit, yeah, that's true. If you pick a
round,
if you pick the round,
yeah, and
my
early round
on that fight, I had told him, that was the fight that I was very nervous because it was a good fight, and it was one of those things that things could happen. If I make the mistake, he can catch me. If he makes a mistake, but then I was looking at it and how he fought, and I said, if I know his distance, I know his tendencies and habits. If I know his velocity or the speed of his punches, that I can, and I told him, it was like the first round, let me figure that out. Second round, I think I'll be able to knock him out if he takes the bait. And so I told everybody that, and that's when they bet for second round and just knocked them out. And I knocked them out the way I explained the fight was gonna happen too. You can ask my cut man. You know, he's the one. Even till this day, he would always say it the way I explained it. That's how the fight went.
Yep. And it was like,
right
what
here.
was it? It was that morning,
right? And Russell Morris jumps over.
But he didn't see this. He do. I don't know where.
How do you not see this? You know, or him?
My God, they're that bastard right there, Russell Mora. Boom!
Your favorite person.
You ever yanked the fish out the river?
Yep.
And he didn't even remember. He didn't. I asked his brother. He said he doesn't even remember what happened that night or that whole.
Montiel.
Yeah, Montiel's
Yeah,
brother.
he doesn't remember. But that dent in his head is different.
Yeah.
How did he let that go?
And he didn't even tell him to come here or anything like that. You know.
No, he told him to come here, and Montiel
he didn't do nothing.
Respond. He didn't respond.
Exactly.
He was supposed to wave it off right there. You were not supposed to get a chance to hit him a couple more times.
He didn't even move, man. And then he's like, "Oh, you're gonna fight. You're gonna fight."
Yeah, he grabbed his gloves and wiped them off. He was like,
he told him to
"You
come.
son of a bitch, you better fight." You know,
I got money on you, damn it! I got money on you. I mean, he was out.
Now let me ask y'all a question.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? Come here.
Like, what?
Give me your gloves, damn it, fight. And then
that's crazy to me, man.
Listen,
that's
nowadays
That's
they got motherfuckers come to me. Walk here, walk here, walk here, walk here. Do a jumping jack. Breathe. Let me see your eyes. Walk here, do the electric slide. Cha-cha slide. You okay?
Now one hop this time.
One hop, 2 hops. Now fight. Meanwhile, it's 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
You have a 5 o'clock shadow now. It's like, oh, what the fuck? Damn.
I gotta shave.
2 hops.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
Slide to the left.
Slide to the
Slide
left.
to the right.
I fucking hate boxing. Damn, man. How does this happen? Damn.
You know, and going back into it, and you know, I guess again, this is just my perception of things. Is those prominent referees are the ones that are taught to do what is necessary for the goal to be accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I ain't gonna hold y'all, man. I could dead ass talk to y'all all night long, man. But
Wait,
listen,
but Drew,
man.
you gotta share on the screen Montiel's freaking dent.
His what?
His dent.
He has a dent?
Gotta go back.
Yeah, here. Give me a screen.
Yeah, send it to you. Shout out to Picasso. He says, "What would Fury do?" Listen. I fucking hate that guy. I fucking hate that guy.
You see it?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, right here. Where's the freaking thing? I can't see. Where's the thing?
You can send it to
It's
the
there.
Oh, okay. Oh shit.
That was after the fight.
There's a dent.
You cracked his skull?
Yes, I did. And they had to do a surgery on that.
Now, where have we seen that before? But you see, here's the deal. You're a puncher. You've always been a puncher.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson Fury is not a puncher.
Mm-hmm.
And he was hitting Deontay with a deflated glove with no padding in it in the second fight. And left a dent in his head. He's never done that before. See, I'll take this from you because you're a puncher. Fury was never a puncher. Ever.
And they're big guys. They're big guys. You know, they're used to that.
Man, my God.
Drew, do you have any of those photos of Fury that you can pull up right now where we can see his fingers through the gloves?
Let me see.
In that second fight.
Let me see.
Because, see, that's the thing, Nonito and Rachel. The man, you could actually see the fingerprints, finger indentations through the glove on the fist portion of the glove. He had no padding in those damn gloves in the second fight against Wilder, Fury.
Yep.
And everybody's talking about glove gate. But the thing about it is the photographer who took the shots actually had them posted where people could see them, and he ended up having to take them down because people it caused such a stir.
Yeah.
I think he did put them back up, but it's
Put them
like
back up
at a
He
later
did.
time. But there were specific shots that showed Fury's fist in the lace portion of the glove down here. So nothing was up in the glove portion. So if the glove is flopping, how is it doing that with weight unless there's a weighted substance in the glove?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I got a picture right here. Let me see if I could I'm gonna upload this. Man, that shit had me so pissed off, man.
And then we had Nicholas Asbury on here on this very show who talked about Fury not only removing his padding from his gloves in sparring, but he had egg weights in the gloves.
Yep.
What?
He damn sure said that. He damn sure
Nicholas
said that.
Asbury, heavyweight. Sparring with Tyson Fury, he had egg weights in his gloves.
Where the fuck is it? I just got it. Yeah, this guy's a piece of shit on a different level. And you know, he surrounds himself with a lot of bad people, which you know, he gets away with a lot of shit. Here it is. Look at that glove.
Look at that glove. You see that, Nonito and Rachel?
That doesn't look right at all.
Exactly. And guess which hand it is? The right hand.
The right hand. And that's the hand that caused the damage on Deontay's face.
Ooh.
You see that?
Wow.
See that? And he was also drugged in this fight, man. I swear to goodness, man. This is a sick sport, man. This
I heard about the drugging.
Yeah.
Who told me about that?
Yeah. We talked to people in the camp, but Tay Jones was just in the chat. Willie Lowe was in the chat. They were there for that. It was bullshit.
Man,
this is attempted murder. It was attempted murder, and it's not above him to do shit like that because he's done it already.
Now,
he's done it already.
Your fight with Montiel, you hit him with a solid left hook on that side of his face. You are a puncher, and you did considerable damage. We saw the dent.
Yeah.
But Fury hit Wilder with that glove, that fisted glove, and caused the dent on his side of his face. Now, which one is a questionable situation? Yours or Fury's?
Yeah, I mean, he's not known for that. I'm known for my punches. I'm a tiny dude who's won the knockout of the year twice.
Yeah. But see, what we're trying to say here is, you know, even yourself, you say, well, they're big guys, they're heavyweights. But Fury was never knocking people out. Fury was getting TKO stoppages and referee interfere and stop.
Right.
So he wasn't putting people to sleep.
No, but what I'm saying is they're big guys, meaning that their structures can take that. What it is for them, it's like a car, right? A truck. When the truck hits, it's heavier, right? And there's more damage. So meaning the inside is already getting messed up. So when they fight, they're bigger guys. It's their brain that gets caught, not their muscular or skeletal that gets damaged. You know, so it's usually just the inside of things, and this is why you see knockouts with the bigger guys because their brain gets messed up, not their whole body.
Right.
I've never seen a fighter's fingers show through the glove like that.
Ever.
No, it looks like a Hulk hand.
Rachel, I just sent you a third video on the DM. It's from ES News when they talk. Nicholas Asbury actually videoed Fury's lack of padding in his glove when he was helping Fury get ready for Deontay.
Oh.
And then he got, and they never called him a liar. They apologized to him. They never said he was lying. And
that's crazy, man. I've never known about this because I'm like, usually I'm just pretty chill when I'm out of boxing. I'm kind of out of boxing.
He really does it like, I'm the one that I'm
with
like
the kids. She loves the whole thing. That's why when it comes down to a lot of the fights and stuff like that, you guys know a lot more than I do. You know,
well, and that's understandable because when you're training for a fight and you've got a fight on the table and stuff like that, your focus is in a total different place, as it should be. And when you're not fighting, you still shouldn't want to deplete yourself with all of this energy. But it's good for someone around you, like you have your loving wife there, to have access to just help you guys so that you'll be more fortified. Because understand, when we do what we do, it's an honest assessment. We put it out there. But think about it. The entire media ridiculed Deontay after that second fight and called him all kinds of questionable names and things of this nature, as if cheating doesn't happen in the sport. And we're talking about a man of integrity. We're not talking about a whiner, complainer type dude. You beat me, you beat me. But when you look at how everything went down, and then you could see visibly with these photo shots and everything, then people were smart enough to go back and watch the first fight, and they could hear Tyson Fury telling Ricky Hatton, pull me glove up in the corner between the rounds, because he had slipped the hand down into the wrist portion again and was slapping with the fist from the threaded part.
With the wrist, yeah.
He wasn't punching with the glove. He was slapping. And I mean, this.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that. That's his knuckle.
That's illegal, bro. That's illegal. And that's from the first fight. That's not the second fight. That's from the first fight.
Look at that. That glove is not properly affixed.
Oh no, that's a knuckle right there on the wrist area.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And we're talking about, this was the first fight. So he got away with this in 2 fights. And we don't know, just to be honest, if Deontay is going to continue his career, wonderful. But we don't know what kind of damage was done to this man out of those first 2 fights, with him getting hit with knuckles and possibly something else upside the head. You just don't know. Your punch resistance can go just like that if you're being hit with something that compromises.
Now here's what I'm saying. Because I see a brother in here named Gixer. He's saying not this again with the laughing emojis. This is all relevant to what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. There's a pro fighter here that says that that's not right, and that's impossible to have. And what's his name that ref the first fight was on another show, another podcast, and said, "Look, they're big guys. Gloves slip off." No. We're not stupid. I have big hands. I wore gloves. They've never slipped off. But I know what he was doing because I had a trainer from Michigan that told me how to pull the glove down to the wrist and slap people upside the head. I told that story countless times. And this is all relevant. Cheating inside the ring, cheating outside the ring, inside the ring, outside the ring, and sanctioning bodies, enabling the bullshit. You just heard, no need to explain what happened with gloves. By the time he left,
highlight Tay Jones's comment there.
Look at that. This is Bomb Squad right here. He says, now y'all heard another pro fighter who's knee deep in the fighting game tell you that it's knuckles in the fucking wrist area. This is what we've been saying for damn near 2 years.
Put that picture back.
Do you want one of your gloves?
Nah. I just want to look at it. If even if he has fat hands.
You see beneath the thumb portion, that's where his actual thumb is, that little lump, that white lump right there. And you're looking at the knuckles facing through the laces. Those are the knuckles.
Wow.
Yep. And that is your WBC heavyweight champion, who, by the way, is no longer allowed in my country.
Take that,
son of a bitch.
No, it's just it looked very different, you know. It looked very different. And all I know is every time I put my gloves in my hand in the gloves, I mean, it's tight. That's why when you close your hand
like this.
Yes, when you close your hand, everything tightens up.
Right.
But to slip it up, I've never tried, so I can't speak for it. But it seems like from where the thumb was, right? Where the thumb was, it was there's that bump in there, and there's no other explanation but the thumb being down there, unless he has some kind of cyst or some kind of some kind of ball in there or something in his thumb, which he doesn't, you know. So it was very different to see, you know. Now I want to try it on my gloves just to see how I'm like, whoa.
Man, listen, bro. Thank you for this. Look, okay, let me see what y'all doing with those gloves.
Yeah, I just want to see. So if it's like this, because that's tight, and I got no wrap on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you do that, and you pull it up a little bit, you see the thumb right here. That look like that, right?
Right.
But then now when you close your thumb, that's where you see it. I mean, when you close your hand, it looks like that.
That bulge that we were
talking about. The balls right here and that little.
That's right.
You know what? Let me make it closer.
Put the picture back up, Drew.
I'm put it back like this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then when you drop it down, there's that little bump on the side.
There you go. And remember, Nonito, I said that in between rounds, he was telling Ricky Hatton, pull me glove up, pull me glove up. Because that was picked up over the microphones when in between rounds when his cornerman is talking to him and stuff like that. So there were points where he was slipping it out of the glove, and then there were points where he was putting it back all the way in. This guy, he's a master cheat. He really is. He really is. We've done shows talking about this because this is not the only guy that he's done these things against. He has been getting away with this for years. The former referee, Eddie Cotton, talked about him. He said he's the dirtiest fighter he's ever reffed, and he had Galata 3 times.
3 times he reffed the Galata fight, and he said Fury's 10 times dirtier than him.
And Galata was dirty as hell, man.
Galata was in there biting.
I was just talking with Riddick Bowe about that fight, and he was like, "Man, fuck that motherfucker." You know, so, man.
I wonder if you play back some of the older fighters.
Yeah, and you'll see all the.
See if you see it there.
Because like, if he learned it from somebody, if he's doing this, he learned it from somebody. You know what I mean? So
this is what they do. Rachel, I sent you the ES video.
Okay.
Where Nicholas Asbury was in the goddamn he was in the camp talking about, yo, look at his gloves and look at mine. He was going off. And I sent you a video where he was on the show talking about it. His story never changed. And this is the WBC heavyweight champion who can't come to America. So, you know, I mean, look, this is the type of time we on. We've been telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? Ain't got nothing to do. I don't care whether you hate Deontay Wilder or not. That's not my concern. I don't want a fighter going in there thinking he's having a fair fight, going in and get killed because some motherfucker's cheating, and it's enabled by a sanctioning body, stupid ass fans, crooked judges, and a fucked up referee.
And he knocked out Steve Cunningham by holding him and hitting him.
Yeah.
He held his head low and then punched under and hit him, knocked him out.
Horrible.
Got away with it.
Horrible. But all of this is relevant. All of this is relevant.
Derek Chisora said he's cheated him. Yep. And he said he's not going to talk about it right now, but he said maybe one day he'll discuss it. He said that leading into this third fight they just had.
He had an NDA.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is crazy. This video right here is crazy. I'm just like,
you see that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This lets you know, listen, man, we've been doing this for a minute. And it's
sparring though? Like what would the point be? Like people, your sparring partners, like
he was making
if
sure.
You listen to what they tell him. They told him that they were trying to build his confidence up.
Right.
That's what they said.
He
that
was
was very cute.
Oh God.
He was perfecting how to get away with it in the ring by training to do it.
Yes.
There's another guy named Patchkis. Thank you, Ghost. Lost his whole career because of that guy. Patchkis is a guy that he poisoned the night before. He had projectile diarrhea, him and his wife. Got in the ring with Fury, and he almost didn't make the fight, but he made it, and he still lost. fucked off his entire career. So Fury
they sent a gift basket of food to their room the night before the fight, and both he and his wife dined from it, and they were both sick as dogs the next day.
Josh McDermott,
to the point that he wanted to call the fight off. Nevin wanted to call the fight off. He just knew he was so sick, running off that he was depleted. When you have bad diarrhea like that, it depletes you. It makes you feel weak and everything.
And then
he didn't want to go through with the fight, but he did, and he lost, I think, in 3 rounds or something to Fury.
His stomach probably wasn't going to be able to even sustain a punch, even at that.
That's
right?
what we're talking about.
But this is one of the things that we do I've never trusted anyone at the hotels or anything like that. First of all, we switch the room names, and then we still put everybody's names off of things, so you don't even know which room we're staying in.
Right. And that's what you should do. But mind you, when we're talking about this, this was before Fury was even known or whatever. He was doing these things years ago. If you go back to this box rec and find out when he fought Nevin, that was probably in 2016 or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was many years ago. And that's not to take away from the point you're making. I'm just simply saying these things happen. The media doesn't talk about it, and we do.
No, I'm just saying it because if there's boxers listening, like you shouldn't you shouldn't have your room listed. You should switch up all the rooms altogether. And when it comes to food, it's one of my guys that's literally going to go grab the food themselves. And we never put Nonito's name on it. So if we get a big order, you have no idea whose order is Nonito's in our entire team. Like we get the entire freaking order. And we don't order from the same restaurant. We don't, there's so many little things that we do that is just to protect him. And part of it is because, before, very, very early on, we would leave our name on the room. And of course you would get freaking phone calls at 2:00 in the goddamn morning. So that's part of why we did it as well.
Listen, one of the famous stories, the Chicago Bulls. If you guys watched the Last Dance documentary, Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, they all talked about it. That last series against Utah and the famous flu game where Jordan was sick. They had been up playing poker or whatever they played, whatever card game they played, and Jordan wanted pizza. And the guys was like, nah, let's not get pizza. Ain't nobody want. So Jordan still wanted the pizza. So they ordered it. And somebody got word that it was for the Bulls. Not necessarily Jordan, but for the Bulls. But Jordan was the only one to eat the pizza. And he got sick. That's the famous game in Utah where he was sick and fell into Scotty's arms and everything because he could barely stand and all of that. They do these things in professional sports, man. So boxing is not obsolete. It's not exclusive in these.
Oh no, boxing has been doing that for the longest time.
Yeah. I've got stories on my channel where I did a show called The 3 Wise Men of Boxing, and one of the brothers that did the show with me was in the chat earlier this evening. Scrapbook Boxing. He has his own channel under the same name. He talks about the history of the sport. He talks about fighters being given poisonous baskets of fruit, fighters being not able to have a cut man and everything in their corner, having to work on their own cuts, and all of this stuff through the history of the sport. So there's a long lineage and history of injustice in boxing, particularly for fighters of color. So fighters could go to a town where they're supposed to have a match, and before they enter in, they could see bodies hanging from trees of other fighters who were hung because they either won a fight they weren't supposed to win or they lost a fight they were supposed to win. Okay, there is history. But do these journalists talk about this? Fuck no, they don't.
Hell no.
And that's why we are here, because we try to let the people know exactly what's going on.
Wow.
I just sent you the link to Stormy's channel and Scrapbook Boxing's channel.
Okay.
We talk boxing here, and I'm not the historian that Scrapbook is, and I don't know as much as Stormy, because our generations are a little bit, we're about maybe 20 years apart. As far as, I didn't start watching boxing with a critical eye until I was about maybe 10, but I was still 10. You know what I mean? But look, man, I know this game fairly well, and it's a fucked off game. And the fact that you guys are in the pocket and y'all want all the smoke, and y'all are getting it. The fact that people, oh, I can't stand Rachel Donaire, that means you're doing something right. That means you're doing something right. The fact that I get death threats, little old me, I get death threats. Before I went to Vegas, yo, as soon as you land, we're gonna fuck you up. Okay, I'll be there. Nothing happened. You know, I'm not the smallest of people, but I mean, I was ready for it. You know, I hope they ready. They weren't ready. You know, they didn't do nothing. You know, yeah, Ghost Gamboa got poisoned. I mean, this is a foul game. I'm glad y'all in the pocket talking it. Y'all are not on anyone's payroll. We're not on the payroll. You understand? So we're gonna talk about it. And their money's not good for us. I don't care. I'm gonna speak up on it. I'm gonna continue to speak up on it.
Yeah, no, I've been warned by numerous people. They said, they're like, hey, you know, like, great content, really good. And they said it weird, and then they clarified it. They're like, but they're gonna come for you. And I was like, yeah, I know everyone's gonna freaking like try to like hate me on all these things of the things that I've said. And they're like, no, they're gonna actually try to offer you money because you're speaking out so loudly. They're gonna make you try to change your narrative.
Yeah,
And perspective.
see?
Yeah, so I've been warned already.
Yeah, it's like that now. It's like that now because the mob is still in the game, and you know.
This is what I gotta say. This is what I gotta say. I'm not selling my soul for $50 million.
Hey, and don't be a trans tuber, bro. Don't do that. Because you know Stormy invented that term. So I'll be watching. I don't want to say y'all trans tubers out there.
Oh
man, this is great, man. Thank you guys, man. We really appreciate this, man. This is an instant classic. What a way to start off the new year, man. Make sure you guys keep in contact, man. Anything that I find strange, you know, I'm gonna bounce it off you guys, and vice versa. Hit me up if y'all want to know anything. Fine. You know, I met y'all through. I didn't know. I just saw you pop up in Black Fight Fans chat on Trill. I said, that's really them. And I went to the chat. I said, oh shit, it's really them. I said, wow, that's great, man. Thank you guys so much, man. Thank you guys so much,
brother.
Man. Thank you, man. And
we appreciate you having us on here. And you know, just really talking about what boxing is. A lot of people don't want to say these things, like you were saying. And I've honestly gone on different channels, and it's been hard for me to have a conversation when people are either A, narrow-minded, or B, want to have blinders on them. So I've had a very hard time to connect with people that really want to talk about this and expose these things the way that I do. So I completely appreciate you guys. Stormy, it was amazing meeting you. And Drew, like, keep up the good work for sure. And we're here to support.
Yeah, that man. Thank you for having us. Happy New Year. And to everybody out there, Happy New Year. Create yourself this year. Don't let nobody tell you what to do. You know, they tell me I'm done because I'm 40 years old. Watch me rise even higher. I even told B-Hop, I said, I'm coming for your record. You know that, right?
Let's get it. Yeah. I'm with it, man. Hell yeah, man. Thank you guys so much.
I appreciate you guys.
We're going to talk to you soon.
All right. Much love.
Bye, guys. Be safe.
Bye.
Bro, instant classic.
Yes.
Instant classic, man. And what a way to start off, man. January 1st. What a way to start off, man. So, man, salute to y'all. I gotta run out of here. We got Noise on Culture tomorrow. LDBC, not strong. This is LDBC strong, but I'll be back tomorrow morning to talk some more boxing. And me and the sensei will be on. You know what I'm saying? Noise on Culture, man. Man, this was amazing, man. But now that you see, we ain't so crazy. You know what I'm saying? So this is great, man. And salute to everybody. Venmo, the Zelle, the Cash App, the Super Chat. You know what I'm saying? And we'll catch y'all on the rebound, man. Peace.
Move! Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.